Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto 5th Guildmaster of Fairy Tail. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by JOHNSINGH4642 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. November, X784. I'll cherish our memories for as long as I live. I promise, I will. The monsters have been defeated. Whether we have magic or not, it doesn't matter. We will work hard and persevere to make our kingdom great once again. Cheers and applause. X. Konoha. The sun shone with its complete radiance over the citizens of the Land of Fire. The entire atmosphere was that of warmth as an ideal sense of opportunity enshrouded the citizens of this great nation, and more specifically, the villagers of Konoha. The atmosphere was so calm and serene that one would wake up with the feeling that it was going to be a wonderful day. It felt as if all one's dreams could come true. That, however, was not true for one resident of this great village. Inside the Hokage office, the 6th Hokage, Kakashi Haddock was sitting on his chair, boredly skimming through the various piles of papers laying on his desk, which mostly contained reports and details regarding the numbers of buildings and settlements that were being constructed throughout the Fire Country to accommodate all the civilians and refugees that had lost their homes in the recent 4th Shinobi War. The papers also contained the numbers and details of all the Konoha shinobi contingencies that were tasked with helping and protecting the construction workers and the refugees from bandits and missing nins. Even after a year, the whole shinobi world, not only Konoha, hasn't been able to completely recover from the destruction caused by the Great War. And he highly doubted that the world was ever going to fully recover from the after effects of the war. It never did. Though, he was hopeful for the future. As the shinobi world has never been as peaceful as it was now, and from the way things were going so far among the great villages, he can undoubtedly say that it was going to last a bit longer than the last one. He signed another set of papers and placed them on top of the signed piles of paper. He then tiredly looked at the other stack of papers that he had yet to read and sign, and let out a frustrated sigh from his mouth. Kakashi cursed himself for taking up the Hokage mantle, even with the knowledge that the Hokage position was nothing more than a glorified paper worker during peacetime. He didn't hate the position or anything, like his predecessor used to. But he would have at least liked to take up some mission himself, just to stretch his legs a bit. As he could feel his skills getting duller by being cramped up behind the desk for over a year. Specifically 384 days to be precise. Yeah, he had counted the number of days that he had to spend as the 6th Hokage. Sue him. How he wishes to simply hand over the Hokage hat to his blonde student, as he knew that there wasn't anyone more deserving of the Hokage position other than his student. He can't wait for the inevitable day for his student to succeed him. So that he could go back on the field for long S-rank missions, save princesses and spend his time reading the first volume of the newly released Icha Icha. MILF Lover in Peace. Wait a minute, he abruptly stopped his thought process and questioned himself. If Naruto becomes the Hokage, will he have the time to write and release the future volumes of the Icha Icha series? Since Naruto was the one who was continuing the glorious Icha Icha legacy of his teacher, the great Toad Sage Jiraiya. Oh. How Kakashi wished that Master Jiraiya could see and read the wonderful work that his godson was doing. Kakashi didn't know how his student that didn't even know anything about girls and was as dense as a brick wall could write such wonderful literature. But damn. Naruto really knew how to write some crazy wonderful scenes. Master Jiraiya, you have succeeded, Kakashi whispered, wiping the tears of joy that were starting to fall from his eyes, gently patting an orange book that was neatly tucked under the robe that he was wearing. Deciding to take a break from his paperwork, he stood up from his chair and slowly made his way towards the large window in his office, overlooking the whole of Konoha. He couldn't help but smile under his mask as he took in the serene and calm atmosphere of the village, children happily playing on the streets and parks without a care in the world, and all the villagers going on with their daily life. My guess, being the Hokage isn't that bad. He mused as he continued to fondly look over the village and her populace. Thunder. Kakashi looked at the sky when he heard the sound of thunder rumbling. He saw the blue sky slowly getting darker as dark clouds started rolling in, covering the bright sun. He also noticed that the villagers were now running to find shelter as it was starting to rain all of a sudden. It's strange. It didn't look like it was going to rain today. He thought out loud as he saw the rainfall getting heavier and the wind started picking up. After a few moments, he let out a sigh and decided to get back to his desk to continue with his paperwork. Hokage-sama. Hokage-sama. Kakashi turned his attention towards the door when he saw his assistant enter the office, holding a file in her hand. He got a bit unnerved and curious as he saw and noticed a sense of urgency and nervousness in her voice and on her beautiful face. Shizune. Did I forget to attend another important meeting with the daimyo? Well, what? It was a joke, my dear. Kakashi clarified while giving his famous eye smile to his assistant as he saw a confused expression on her face. So, what's the matter? Why do you look like you've seen a ghost? Hokage-sama. It's no time for jokes. Shizune chastised the Hokage for his joke and urgently handed the file that she was holding in her hand to him. You have to read this fast. It is a report given by the village barrier department regarding foreign energy that they had detected in the rain. Kakashi opened the file handed to him and quickly started reading it. As he knew that any reports given by the barrier department were of utmost importance, and he also had found it strange when it started to rain all of a sudden when there was no sign of any rain today. As he read over the report, his eyes narrowed a little and a serious expression took over his face. No wonder, Shizune looked like she had seen a ghost. He thought as he closed the report file and signaled his hand to call one of his Anbu security, who was hiding in the office. The figure landed beside him wearing a rabbit mask and kneeled. Call Naruto to my office. Tell him that it's urgent. Kakashi ordered the Anbu, getting a nod in return. The Anbu was just about to body flicker out of the office to carry out the order when. Thud. Never mind, he is here, Kakashi said as they heard the sound of a kunai hitting the floor near the window and saw the shape of the kunai. Nobody heard the sigh of exhaustion that left his mouth. Crash. Ow. Damn it. They saw an orange flash and a familiar figure crashed and slid on the floor, knocking down the stacks of paper that were in the office. The figure cursed as he tried to stand up while holding his head and back in pain. Kakashi, Shizune, and the Anbu, even the other Anbus who were hiding in the ceiling of the office sweat dropped and all let out a collective sigh. It was nothing new to them. Naruto, how many times did I tell you not to enter my office like that? Why can't you enter like a normal person? He ignored the stink eye that Shizune gave him a knowing look. Was this karma? He wondered. A few moments ago, Konoha Academy. Class, let's start our today's Taijutsu lesson. Naruto excitedly yelled, getting a chorus of cheers from his students in reply. He smiled hearing the excited cheers from his students and crossed his fingers to perform his trademark jutsu and made 30 clones with academy level chakra for each of his students. Poof. This young man was Naruto Uzumaki, the hero of the 4th Shinobi War. He was 18 years old and has bright short blonde hair and deep blue eyes. The most noticeable trait of his appearance, however, was the 3 whisker-like marks on each side of his face. He was wearing a black elastic forehead protector on his head with a leaf symbol. Over his black pants and shinobi sandals, he was wearing a black uniform jacket with an orange zipper and buttons on the waist and sleeves, which were folded up. He also has a red armband with an Uzumaki crest on his left arm. You all know the drill. He yelled looking at the students and explained, partner yourself up with each of my clones and try to pop them by utilizing the katas that I had taught you. Yes sensei. Yes boss. He chuckled hearing the yes boss reply from the Konohamaru Corps. He was having a blast teaching the students for the past few months and he can see that the students were also enjoying his lessons. He had never thought that he will one day end up being an academy teacher of all things. As he remembered hating the academy with a passion during his younger days. He silently regarded the sloppy taijutsu skills of his students with an amused expression and checked whether they were having any luck with their task. He knew that the chances of his students popping any of the clones at their current skills were non-existent. Even with his clones being on the defensive and having only the bare minimum chakra of an academy student. But he was not an ass like all of his teachers who loved to beat him up just for the heck of it. He loved his students dearly and didn't want to demoralize any of them like his academy teachers used to. Hiruka not included. So, he had already programmed his clones to intentionally get hit and to pop after 10 minutes. Just to give his students the impression that their hard work was paying off. As he continued on with his inspection, his gaze lingered on the 3 comical trios of the Konohamaru Corps who were fighting for their lives with each of their partnered clones. Since the 3 of them were already genins and his underlings, he had tasked his clones to go a bit harder on them. Despite already being genins. The trio again started to attend the academy when they learned that he was going to be the taijutsu instructor for the year. But, he abruptly stopped his inspection as he sensed a massive unknown energy source suddenly appearing above the village. He looked up at the sky to exactly locate the sources of energy when he saw dark clouds covering the sky and rain start pouring in. He also felt the rain droplets had some kind of energy that he couldn't quite point his finger on. Class. He called his students when he felt the air slowly picking up and saw a storm forming in the sky, releasing a massive amount of the unknown energy that he had felt. That inside the classroom, fast. Why? Boss. I'll explain later, Con. All of you just get inside the classroom for now, okay? The Konohamaru Corps and the other students nodded their heads at his word and without asking further questions, they all scrambled towards their classroom, detecting the urgent tone in his voice. As he saw the students scrambling their way to the classroom, he made 2 shadow clones and tasked them with looking after the students. Kurama. Any idea about this unknown energy in the clouds? He questioned his lifelong partner, gazing at the dark clouds with narrowed eyes. Aware that his partner also felt the massive surge of energy from the clouds. No idea. But from what I can feel, this storm is not just any ordinary storm. Kurama grumpily replied, looking at the strange phenomena through the link that he had with his partner. It seems, I might be needing your help way sooner than I thought I would. Naruto chuckled, getting a snort in return from his partner, and used the body flicker technique to make his way towards the Hokage tower. As he reached the base of the tower, he stopped the technique and a devious smile formed on his lips. There's always time for some prank. He grinned as he summoned a tri-pronged kunai from the seal that he had inscribed on his wrist. It was the same type of kunai that his father used to perform the famed flying thunder god technique. He had yet to completely master the technique, only being able to teleport about 200 meters now. But he was certain that in a month or two he will be able to completely master the technique. He aimed and launched the kunai at the window of the Hokage tower and concentrated his chakra on the kunai. After a second he disappeared from his position in bright orange light. Present. Naruto, how many times did I tell you not to enter my office like that? Why can't you enter like a normal person? Ah, sorry, Kakashi-sensei. It seems I used too much chakra. Naruto sheepishly apologized to his sensei, though one could see a small grin on his lips. Hi, Shizune-chan, rabbit. He happily greeted the other two occupants in the room, ignoring the glare from his sensei. Hello, Naruto-kun. Shizune giggled as she saw the glare the Hokage was giving to the beaming blonde and greeted him back. While Rabbit simply gave a nod to the aforementioned blonde enthusiastic greeting and got back into his security position. Sigh Naruto, if you are here it means that you have also felt something wrong with this sudden rain, right? Kakashi asked his student, trying to get a hold of the situation before he received any more headaches due to his student's antics. Yes, Naruto replied, his previous enthusiasm completely disappearing and everyone could see a rare look of seriousness on his face. There is some sort of strange energy in the rain and I could sense a massive amount of it over the clouds. And unlike chakra, this energy seems to be a bit, how do I put it? A bit wild. What do you mean by wild? Can you elaborate a bit? Kakashi inquired as he knew that with Naruto's sensing ability they could get a much better grasp of the situation. I might Akram. The three of them stumbled when they felt the building shake and heard a loud thundering from the sky. They all looked at each other with varied expressions and quickly made their way towards the balcony to see what was going on, and what they saw terrified them to the core. As the scene in front of them reminded them of one of the most horrifying events that had taken place in the village a year ago. Trees and roofs of the buildings were slowly being uprooted from their foundations, massive cracks forming on the ground, small stones and pebbles levitating from the ground, and worst of all, they could feel themselves slowly getting lifted from the ground. Kakashi-sensei, Naruto whispered, getting into his six-path sage mode without taking his eyes from the scene in front of him. Being in his six-path sage mode, he could finally feel how dire the situation was. Order the civilians to evacuate to safety. This is not a simple storm, something is pulling the whole village towards those clouds. If we don't do anything quickly, I don't think there will be any Leaf Village in the elemental nations by tomorrow. Kakashi nodded with a grim look, seeing how serious his student was, and wordlessly made a signal with his hand to his Anbu team. Quickly, 5 members of his Anbu security team appeared behind them and kneeled. Notify all the civilians and genins to evacuate from the village and head towards the bunker under the Hokage monument. Notify all the shinobi ranking from Chunins to Jonins to help with the evacuation process. Now, go. Yes. Hokage-sama. As the Anbus left to carry out their orders, Kakashi turned his attention toward his student, who was now looking at the dark clouds that were twisting like a cyclone in the sky. Naruto, do you or Kurama have any idea to stop it? Kakashi hopefully asked his student, hoping that at least the 1,000-year-old beast would know something. I don't know. Even Kurama doesn't have any idea what is causing that storm or how to stop that storm. Naruto sighed and shook his head negatively. Even with his godly sensing power granted to him by Kurama and six-path sage mode, his senses couldn't seem to sense anything other than the foreign energy in the clouds. Swoosh. Shit. Naruto cursed and made numerous shadow clones when he felt and saw massive winds tearing apart the newly built malls, and saw some people even getting lifted from the ground and heading upwards towards those black clouds at breakneck speed. Grab the civilians. Naruto ordered his clones, getting a salute from the clones. His clones leaped towards the civilians that were being dragged upwards and brought them back to the ground. Kakashi-sensei, I'm going to use Kurama to erect a large barrier over the village to stop any civilians from getting sucked into the storm. I don't know how long will I be able to hold the barrier, so make sure that all of them are evacuated. Naruto said, and without waiting for a response he quickly flew towards the center of the village, using the flight ability granted to him by his six-path sage mode. What is happening? Shizune fearfully asked while covering her mouth with her shivering hand. I don't know. Kakashi numbly replied as he now saw massive chunks of the village and buildings getting uprooted from their foundation. More specifically, the center of the village slowly getting lifted from the ground and slowly heading towards the sky. Kakashi saw several shinobi along with numerous clones of Naruto were now helping the civilians evacuate towards the bunker, and he even saw some of them jumping to grab some civilians that were being lifted by the storm. Shizune, go to the bunker and see whether anyone is injured and provide medical assistance. Since Sakura and Lady Tsunade is out of the village, you are the most qualified medical ninja here in the village right now. Hi, Hokage-sama. Shizune slowly nodded, her eyes nervously looking at the destruction caused by the storm, and body flickered away towards the bunker. When I asked for some action, I didn't mean this. Kakashi let out a frustrated sigh from his lips and jumped off the balcony to help with the evacuation himself. X. Now standing on the massive chunk of ground that was slowly being lifted, Naruto made even more clones to help the civilians and grinned. Are you ready to stretch your leg a bit, Kurama? I was born ready, brat. A similar grin formed on Kurama's face as it felt the familiar pull on its chakra. A bright light filled the area, illuminating the whole village. A giant head made of pure raw energy then materialized around Naruto's body before the whole body of a gigantic beast appeared, with the same black markings on its body and 9 tails moving behind it like wildfire. The weight of the chakra construct even pushed the floating chunk of the village that they were standing on to the ground. All the villagers, shinobi, and civilians alike that were scrambling towards safety stopped and cheered as they saw the glowing form of their village hero, even though they were still in danger. Kurama, let's go. Naruto, who was now levitating inside the head of Kurama's avatar, screamed as he and Kurama both raised their hands towards the sky, releasing a large amount of both their chakra to form a barrier over the village. Everyone could see a bright yellow transparent dome of chakra appear around the gigantic form of Kurama, and their eyes widened when they saw the dome rapidly expanding for about some seconds and covering the whole of the village like a barrier. After the barrier was constructed, all of them let out a sigh of relief as they felt the rain and the storm finally stopping, even the rubbles that were floating toward the sky fall to the ground, destroying some buildings and trees. But they didn't stop running toward the bunker since they know that the barrier only provided temporary protection from whatever was happening to the village. All of them could still see the dark clouds twisting like a cyclone, even the rain hadn't completely ceased. It was only stopped by the barrier from reaching the village. Line break. Kurama, how are you holding up? Naruto asked his partner since he knew that constructing and holding such a large barrier that they had formed over the village consumed a lot of chakra. Even someone like him, who had an astronomical amount of chakra, was feeling a slight drain on his reserves. Who do you think you are talking to, brat? I'm the strongest tailed beast, something like this is child's play for me. Naruto just grinned at his partner's response and pushed even more chakra into the barrier. He didn't know how long he would be able to hold the barrier as the storm was getting even heavier outside the barrier and it didn't look like it was going to stop anytime soon. But on the positive side, he sensed all the villagers, minus some shinobi, had successfully evacuated to the bunker. Kurama, can you hold the barrier for me for a few seconds? What are you planning to do, brat? You know we can't hold this barrier forever, Kurama. If we don't stop this storm or somehow disperse the clouds, then all the village will be sucked into it, Naruto stated, getting a nod of agreement from the beast. So, what I plan to do is enter the eye of the storm, which is the center of the clouds, and try to blow away the clouds from the area by using a couple of winddrass and shurikens. I don't think that it is a good idea, brat. You could get toasted by the lightning inside the storm. Kurama opposed the plan as it could see how dangerous and illogical the strategy was. Then do you have any other solutions? Naruto stubbornly argued and just chuckled a little when he didn't receive any response from the fox. That's what I thought. So, just hold the barrier for a few seconds and let me deal with these darn clouds, partner. Kurama merely grunted at the request and nodded its head. Just don't do anything stupid. Well, anything more stupid than entering a storm cloud. Don't worry about it, partner. I'll be back in a minute, bye. Naruto simply grinned at Kurama's concern and flew out of the chakra construct and headed straight towards the dark clouds at a breakneck speed. Seeing Naruto enter the clouds, Kurama couldn't help but worry for its knucklehead partner's safety. As unlike the enemies and situations that they had faced together in the past, this was something entirely different. Since they didn't have any idea who the enemy even was. Though, it couldn't help but snort and chuckle a bit when it found its situation a bit ironic. The beast that had been the reason for countless nightmares for this village and her people was now protecting said village while holding a big-ass barrier. Hokage, what are you doing in here? Kurama questioned when it saw Kakashi appear on the roof of one of the building near it that was still somehow standing. Well. Swish thud. Kakashi halted as he and Kurama saw a familiar object fall from the sky and stuck on the ground. It was Naruto's tri-pronged kunai. That idiot. Kurama growled, its eyes widening as it felt something had gone terribly wrong with its partner. It felt its chakra getting pulled by something. Like it was being summoned far away. Ayubi, where is Naruto? An anxious Kakashi asked as he picked up the tri-pronged kunai from the ground and looked at the incensed Nine Tails. I don't know what, don't interrupt me, there is no time for any of your questions. Kurama angrily glared at Kakashi for interrupting it and continued. Listen to me well, Hokage. I don't know what happened to him or where that brat is. Just know that he is somehow alive and I want you to take care of that kunai as I feel it is our only way to get back here from wherever that brat had ended up. Poof. What Kakashi confusedly uttered as a heavy sense of foreboding filled him as he looked at the space where the large form of the Nine Tails had just disappeared in a wisp of smoke before it could finish its instructions, the large barrier that it was holding disappearing with it. He also noticed all the clones that Naruto had made rapidly disappear in the same way. He then looked at the sky and realized that the storm had stopped and saw the dark cloud slowly receding. He then stared at the kunai that he was holding in his right hand and gripped it so hard that it cut into his flesh, drawing blood. Kakashi. He looked at his back when he heard someone familiar call his name. He felt a brief sense of relief and hope to fill his heart when he saw Sasuke appearing from a dark portal. Since he knew that if someone had even the slightest chance of knowing about Naruto's whereabouts, then it had to be Sasuke. Kakashi, what happened to Naruto? And just like that, his hopes were completely dashed away. Konoha, 2 years later. Has it already been 2 years? Kakashi wondered out loud as he gazed at the setting sun while standing atop the Hokage monument alone. His appearance hadn't changed much from 2 years ago, he still looked the same, though one could see dark circles under his eyes. He was still wearing the white and red Hokage robe, which had the word 6th Hokage inscribed on its back. Not many things had occurred over these past 2 years, well other than the moon almost destroying the planet. Thankfully, they were able to stop the descendant of Himura Otsutsuki, Toneri Otsutsuki, who had orchestrated the whole thing, thanks to the combined effort of Sasuke, Rock Lee, Sakura, Shikamaru, Sai, and most importantly Hinata. They somehow even managed to get a new ally in the form of Set Otsutsuki, who was now helping them in their cause. He could also feel that the relationship between the shinobi nations had gotten even closer than before, owing to all the incidents that had occurred. Especially after Konoha was hit by the strange storm. It has been 2 years yet nobody knew anything about the storm that had almost destroyed the village. They didn't know how it had occurred or even knew what it was, as it was unlike any storm. Storms didn't cause earthquakes or lift huge chunks of ground out of the surface, and most importantly, storms didn't transport people to a whole different dimension. He still had a hard time believing that his student was transported to some unknown dimension. Honestly, he wouldn't have even known about this if Sasuke hadn't told him that. And he didn't have any reasons to argue to refute Sasuke's findings. As he knew that Sasuke could sense Naruto's chakra even from large distances, dimensions included, since both of their chakras were connected due to them, both having the Sage of Six Paths chakra. When the news broke out that the hero of the 4th Shinobi War and the strongest shinobi in the elemental nation had disappeared, the whole world was in shock and afraid. And truth be told, he couldn't fault them for being afraid. As he was also afraid that something like this could transpire again in the future, and this time they didn't have Naruto to bail them out again. Despite the shock and tense atmosphere, the whole elemental nation mourned for the hero, especially Konoha, for weeks. As most of them thought that Naruto had died and even erected statues in the fire capital in Konoha in his honor. Since, not many people knew about Naruto being transported to a different dimension other than Naruto's friends, him, the clan leaders, the tailed beasts, Tsunade, the toads, and the other cages. All of them were now helping Sasuke in his effort to find Naruto's location, since he was the only one in the world who could even sense Naruto's chakra and had the power to travel across the dimensions. At first, they tried to summon Naruto back into their world using the help of the Toad's Elder, but they couldn't and came to the conclusion that Naruto was very far away from their dimension to be summoned by them due to the astronomical amount of chakra required to do so. So, their only hope to bring back Naruto was completely on Sasuke. However, he was also unable to accurately pinpoint the exact dimension that his best friend was in, due to different kinds of energies messing with his senses. The only thing he could sense was the special chakra that they both had. Which was enough according to Sasuke, as it indicated that Naruto was still alive and okay. Hence, over the years Sasuke along with some individuals like B and Toneri, who would provide an extra source of chakra to sustain his reserves, had been traveling across different dimensions, trying to get near to the dimension that his friend was in. while placing chakra markers, which were large chakra storage seals made by seal experts from all over the nation and had a large amount of the tailed beast's chakras that the tailed beast had provided stored into it on those dimensions so that he could directly open a portal nearest to the dimension that he could sense Naruto was in whenever he had recovered his chakra. Though, Sasuke had found some ruins and inscriptions on some of those dimensions, which had made him and all the other cages uneasy. The ruins and inscriptions gave hints about the earth getting invaded by the Otsutsuki clan in the near future. Even Toneri had claimed that the contents of those inscriptions were factual and confessed that he was also warned by his predecessor of a possible invasion on Earth by the other Otsutsuki. This information gave even more fuel to a need to find Naruto and bring him back to their world as fast as possible. Since, along with Sasuke and even Toneri, Naruto was the strongest, if not the strongest defense and protector that the Earth had to offer against a possible invasion by the Otsutsuki. Okage-sama, it's time for Shikamaru and Temari's wedding ceremony. Shizune called and reminded him as she slowly approached Kakashi. She was wearing a beautiful kimono adorned with pink sakura petals. Is it already 6 p.m.? Kakashi asked, getting a nod from his beautiful assistant. You go on ahead. I'll be there in a minute. Okay, if you say so. And don't be late like usual, otherwise I'll bring you even more paperwork. Kakashi lightly chuckled at her threat and waved her goodbye. Time sure does fly fast away, huh? He mused as he gazed back at the setting sun after Shizune had left him alone once more atop the Hokage monument. When the sun had completely set, only a single thought ran through his mind. Wherever you are, Naruto, I hope you are doing fine and still causing troubles. And inside Naruto's mindscape. In a dimly lit chamber, we find our hero sprawled out on the ground. He can be seen twitching in pain as he groggily cracked open one of his blurry, sleep-filled eyes and tried to push himself up into a more comfortable position. Ugh, what hit me? He groaned as he managed to push himself up into a sitting position and massaged his temples, trying to ward off the nasty headache he was sporting at the moment. After managing to calm down the headache, he rubbed his eyes and peered to check where he was. And as he saw the all-too-familiar settings of his mindscape, he let out a groan and slowly stood up. He stretched his arms and legs as he walked towards the direction where he knew his partner would be. After a short walk, he saw the hulking form of his partner snoring peacefully. "Kurama, wake up," Naruto called out to his partner. His sound echoing in the huge chamber. Kurama grunted and cracked open its eyes and let out a tired yawn as he heard his partner calling him. It turned its head towards its partner and blankly stared at him with its huge slitted red eyes. "You finally managed to wake up, huh, princess? You were the one that was sleeping, furball," Naruto retorted, pointing one of his fingers at Kurama. "I was simply waiting for you to wake up, idiot," Kurama calmly said and tiredly yawned again. Naruto's eyebrows angrily twitched at his partner's reply. He was about to yell at Kurama for the idiot remark. But momentarily paused as his eyes finally adjusted to the dimly lit chamber and he got a proper look at his partner's condition. Kurama's whole body looked like someone who hadn't eaten for years. Granted, it doesn't need to eat anything, but that's beside the point. It looked worryingly thin and skeletal. Its once majestic-looking blood-red fur was now slightly dull and pale. And the most worrying part was his partner's size. Kurama's whole body had somehow shrunk. Before, its whole body could easily dwarf the Hokage monument, but now it was no bigger than a small 2-story building. "Boy, Kurama," Naruto called, now looking at his partner's face in concern and a little bit of confusion. "What happened to you? So, you finally noticed, huh? Took you long enough," Kurama snidely remarked as he slowly stood up and brought its face closer to Naruto and gave a menacing glare. "It's all thanks to you, brat." "Well, what do you mean?" Naruto stuttered as a sense of foreboding filled his body. "Don't you remember?" Naruto shook his head negatively as he tried to recall what had happened. "I just remember flying inside the storm clouds and making a Rasen shuriken to blow the clouds away. But after that, I don't remember anything," Naruto confessed as he tried to recall the events that had happened. "Well, then let me jog your memory a bit." Kurama let out an annoyed sigh and continued. "After you tried to pull that stupid stunt of entering the eye of a raging storm, you got knocked out and then got somehow transported inside a dark void, and since I'm connected to you, due to the seal, I was also summoned back inside the seal into you and had to use almost all of my chakra to keep you alive. Otherwise, you would have died inside that void." Kurama paused and took a deep breath as it prepared itself to give its partner a piece of its mind. "Whatever that void was, it was stretching your body like rubber while suffocating you and sucking your chakra at an alarming rate. So, I had to use my chakra as a protective barrier over your body and almost lost all of my chakra in the process as the void started to absorb my chakra as well. And after a few minutes, the void spat us out here in this strange world." "I am sorry, Kurama." After hearing the information, Naruto guiltily apologized as he now realized that it was due to his stupid action, his partner was now in this sorry state. But, he blinked, and a confused look appeared on his expression. What do you mean a strange world, Kurama? It might be hard to believe, brat, but that void or that storm has somehow transported us into a completely new dimension, and from what I could sense this dimension or world is very far away from our home. What, you are joking, right? Naruto worriedly asked, however, Kurama knew that it was not even the worst part of their current predicament. I'm afraid, this is not a joke, brat. I wish it was. Kurama stated grimly. And that's not even the worst part of our situation. When we were stuck in that void, it might have felt like a few minutes, but it was actually 3 years. What? 3 years? Kurama nodded grimly as it looked over its shell-shocked partner. Kurama, this ought to be a joke. How can 3? I know, it may be hard to believe, but this is the truth, brat. Kurama interrupted his partner and explained. You might have not sensed the difference in time since you haven't aged inside the void, and even I wouldn't have been able to notice the difference, but since I have lived for almost 1,000 years, I'm quite perceptive of time, and I'm a being of chakra, so any changes like that can't go unnoticed by me. But, if what you are saying is true, then why doesn't I feel or look like I have aged even a little bit in those 3 years? Naruto questioned, a bit uncertain and still not believing Kurama's claim. About that, I don't exactly know or have the exact answer to why you haven't aged in those 3 years, Kurama confessed as it too was a bit uncertain about that, though it had some theories about that. There are certain possibilities about your dilemma, though I'm not exactly certain. It might be because of the overflowing chakra that I was pumping through your chakra networks and to your whole body, which could have protected you from aging, or the most probable and believable in my opinion is that the void might have put your body into a stasis, which might have stopped your aging for those years. Though on a positive note, Kurama took another heavy breath mid-sentence and looked at Naruto, who looked thoroughly confused, perplexed, and shell-shocked. The beast couldn't blame him though, even it was a bit confused about their situation when it was suddenly summoned back into the seal and saw a complete dark void trying to suck both of them dry of their chakra. Since this dimension is so far away from our own, there might be some time difference between the two. So, there is a high possibility that only a month, year, or heck even an hour might have passed in our world due to time dilation. So you don't worry much about that. By that logic, isn't there a possibility that 5 years, 10 years, or heck, even 20 years might have passed in our world? Naruto questioned. Ah, you are right. I didn't think about that. Kurama sweated and sheepishly agreed with its partner's statement, earning a groan from the said partner. But, don't think much into it. Like I said, it is just a possibility, not 100% factual that it is going to happen. So, don't sweat about it, okay? Hearing the explanation and his partner's rather bad attempt at consoling him, Naruto let out another frustrated groan from his mouth. If he was being honest, he was thoroughly confused with his current predicament. He was never really a scholar type or anything, so to hear about things like a void, stasis, and even traveling through dimensions was all a bit confusing and foreign to him. Granted, during his fight with Kagaya, he had traveled to different dimensions, but this was on a whole other level. So just to calm down the massive headache that he could feel was coming, he decided to simply accept everything that he had heard so far as another part of his massive pile of misfortune that had been handed to him since his birth. Wait a minute. He thought as a literal light bulb lit up in his head and a massive grin appeared on his face. Even if I'm in a different dimension, wouldn't the Toad Elders be able to reverse summon me back to our home? And if I'm not wrong, Sasuke's eye has the ability to open portals to different dimensions, so wouldn't he be able to easily open a portal to wherever me and Kurama have landed and get us out of here? No, it's not going to work, brat, Kurama hotly declared as it saw the grin on his partner's face. Well, what do you mean it's not going to work? Naruto sputtered, his grin and the hope that was brewing inside him now fading away. And how do you know what I was thinking of? Let me guess, Kurama mused, its eyebrow quirking a bit even though it didn't actually have one. You were thinking that the toad summons of yours would be able to summon you back, right? Seeing its partner giving a resigned nod, it continued, and you were also hoping that Uchiha would be able to open a portal into this dimension and get us back to our world, weren't you? How do you know that? And why do you think that it wouldn't work? For your first question, you're just far too easy to read, brat. Kurama quipped, prompting Naruto to faceap him. And for your second question, the simple answer is that they lack the amount of chakra to access this dimension. Like I said before, this dimension is very far away from our own. So, to open a portal to this dimension or even to summon you back would require an enormous amount of chakra. Which the toads nor your friend have. So how are we going to get back to our world then? Are we going to be stuck here forever? Naruto asked in desperation as his last hope of going back to his home was crushed. He didn't want to get stuck in this unknown world. He still had a lot of things to accomplish back home, like becoming the Hokage. Well, we do have a way to get back to our world, Kurama said, gaining the complete attention of its partner. We can get back through the use of your Hiraishin kunai. My Hiraishin kunai, Naruto muttered confusedly, getting a nod from his partner, but how? I don't know whether you remember it or not, but before you suddenly disappeared from our world, thankfully, one of your kunai was left back there. So, you use that kunai to teleport from one place to another, using the kunai as a medium. In theory, there is a possibility that you could teleport both of us back to that kunai that was left in our world. But I don't even know how to use it properly. Did you forget that I can only teleport about 200 meters using Hiraishin? So to teleport us back to a whole different dimension is out of the question. Naruto stated, looking at his friend like it had grown a second head for giving such an outrageous solution to their problem. Who is even talking about being able to go back to our world now, brat? There is no chance that we will be able to go back with my condition right now. Kurama retorted. What? If not now, then when? Maybe after 6 or 7 years. Naruto blankly looked at his partner while trying to make sure that he hadn't heard it wrong. You serious, Kurama? Please tell me you are joking. Naruto pleaded, and hoping that it was just one of those cruel jokes that his partner sometimes likes to play on him. I'm afraid I'm not joking, brat, Kurama said and explained, as you have already noticed by now, I'm not in very good shape. I have lost almost 8 taels worth of chakra trying to protect both of us in that void. Even if you master that jutsu, your chakra won't be enough to transport us back to the kunai in our world. Since both of the dimensions are so far apart, not even your massive chakra reserves would be able to fuel the process. You are also going to need almost all of my chakra to be able to do that. So, for me to recover the chakra that I had lost in that void, it's going to take almost 6 to 7 years, even if I sleep and do nothing. After hearing Kurama's reasoning, Naruto finally realized how dire their situation was. He felt like his whole world has been snatched away from him, literally. However, he also knew that there was any other choice. What choice did he even have? So, will you be sleeping for almost 7 years? He asked, getting a slow nod from his partner. And what do you want me to do when you are recovering your chakra? I want you to get information about this world that we are in and also try to keep the information about your origin a secret. Don't tell anyone, unless you truly trust them, that you are from a different dimension. As some people might take advantage of your naiveness and trustful nature. Hey. Also, try to master that Hiraishin jutsu of yours and try to completely avoid using my chakra as much as possible unless you feel like you are going to die. As you using my chakra would delay my recovery. Kurama instructed and grinned as it saw that Naruto was listening to its instructions seriously, nodding his head to every word it was saying. And most importantly, try to stay away from trouble as much as possible. Well, avoid doing stupid things like entering a raging storm. You don't have to put it like that, Kurama. I said I'm truly sorry. I'm not going to do anything which would make our situation even dire, so don't worry and just take your nap. Naruto said, lightly smirking at his partner's exasperation. Naruto, Kurama spoke in a serious tone, its previous annoyance completely gone from its face. I know I'm asking you a lot and putting a lot of responsibility on your shoulders by living you all by yourself in this unknown world for 6 to 7 years. But, want you to survive and don't lose hope and always remember that you are not alone. Naruto stood with a surprised expression on his face as he heard Kurama's words, and his eyes started to slowly get blurry as tears started to appear in his eyes. Don't worry about me, partner. You just take your rest and try to recover fast. I promise that I will survive and endure this world for both of us until you wake up and we get back to our home. And you know Naruto Uzumaki never breaks his promises. I know, brat. Kurama chuckled and grinned hearing its partner's conviction. It brought its right hand forward towards Naruto for a fist bump and both of them let out a similar grin when their fist bumped, knowing that it might be their last for some years. I believe in you, Naruto. Be brave and strong, okay? Okay, partner. Naruto nodded, tears slowly streaming down his face, and declared. Now, go and take your nap. As I'm going to show this world the awesomeness of the most unpredictable ninja and future Hokage, Naruto Uzumaki. Yeah, sure brat. And before you go, tighten the seal a bit. Why? Naruto asked, confused by that request. You give in to your emotions very quickly and I don't want my chakra leaking because of your emotions. Since I will be sleeping, I won't be able to stop it from taking over you. Oh okay, sure. Naruto conceded and agreed with his partner's reasons as it was the truth. He then lifted his black uniform shirt a bit and put his palm on his stomach where Kurama's seal was and twisted his palm, indicating that he had tightened the seal. Good, now get your stupid ass out of my face. I need to rest a bit. Kurama declared with a noticeable grin on its face. Yeah you old fox. I also don't want to see your stupid face anymore. Naruto retorted with a similar grin on his face as he slowly willed himself out of the mindscape. And November, X787. Somewhere in Fiori. When Naruto groggily opened his eyes as he came out from his mindscape, he was half expecting to see some dark and dreary deserts or just simply a large expanse of dry flat lands with flowing lavas as rivers. Just like the ones he had witnessed during his fight with Kagaya. Instead, he was welcomed by the sight of a beautiful and clear blue sky, and from what he could feel as a sage who was intimately connected with nature even without sage mode, whatever this world was, it was overflowing with natural energy. He took a deep breath of air through his mouth and let out a small smile as he could feel the freshness of the air. Am I laying down in a ditch? Naruto wondered out loud and sighed when he realized that he was indeed laying down in a deep ditch or crater of some sort, which he assumed was formed by his landing. I guess that void dropped me here from a big height. No wonder my back is hurting so much. He mused and then pushed his body into a sitting position and started to check on his condition. Thankfully, he found that no part of his body was missing. All of his arms, legs, fingers and toes were intact. Though both of his sandals were missing and he was now barefoot. His clothes were also completely ruined, his pant and shirt were in tatters with holes all over them. He touched his forehead to check whether his forehead protector was missing, and to his relief, it was still safely secured on his forehead. Though, he could feel some scratches on it. He then slowly stood up while holding his aching back and started to climb his way out of the ditch. When he finally made his way out, he couldn't help but let out a wow from his mouth. Now he was sure that he was not imagining when he had felt the abundance of natural energy in this world. As he could now see that he was in a forest, a really big one at that. Naruto then slowly walked towards a huge tree and sat under it. He let out a sigh of contentment from his mouth as he basks in the calming atmosphere of the forest. It reminded him of the forest in his home, Konoha. He then closed his eyes to meditate and started to absorb the natural energy from the surrounding area into him to enter his sage mode. After a few seconds, orange pigmentation started to form around his eyes, and as he slowly opened his eyes, his previous bluer eyes were now replaced by yellow toad-like pupils. Signifying that he was now in his toad sage mode. Phew, that took longer than usual. Naruto let out a sigh of relief as he finally entered his sage mode. He was honestly a bit afraid that he might not be able to enter into his sage mode as he was in a different world, but it seems he was just worrying for nothing. However, it had taken him a bit longer than usual to enter sage mode, mostly because he had to stop the other energy, which was also trying to enter into his chakra network, along with natural energy. So, he had to make sure that the strange energy which he could sense was also quite in abundance in the atmosphere here, didn't get mixed with his chakra and the natural energy that he had absorbed. As he didn't know what it was, it felt like the energy that he had sensed in the storm, though the energy acted and felt a bit calmer than he had felt it in the storm, and he didn't want to know what would happen if he absorbed it, along with the natural energy into his system as well. He was a curious person, but he wasn't that curious. He was already in a very fucked up position, and he didn't want to add another problem to his list. But that thought out of his mind, Naruto started to extend his senses to get a feel of his location to check for any other life forms and to better understand the world that he was in. He could sense the various beings that resided in the forest, which he assumed were animals. However, he was a bit surprised to notice that these animals didn't even have an ounce of chakra in them. As in his world, every living thing had a little bit of chakra inside them as it was their life force. Though, he didn't think much of it as he had already guessed that this world didn't have chakra since he had felt and sensed that there was no chakra in the air right from the moment he woke up. So, he speculated that instead of chakra this world had the strange energy which he could feel was abundant here, just like chakra in their world. He could also sense a stream just about 500 meters from his location which made him quite glad. He also sensed some animals in the forest that had the strange energy inside them just like chakra, and it made him a bit concerned when he sensed quite a bit of negative emotions in those animals. Naruto then extended his senses outside of the forest, which he now knew was quite dense and large. After a few moments, a huge smile formed on his face as he finally sensed something that made his heart fill with relief and happiness. Humans. However, he also noticed that they also didn't have any chakra. He wasn't surprised, though, just like the animals that he had sensed, some of the humans had the same energy in them. Naruto was not sure, but he was guessing that the area in which he had sensed the humans was either a village or a town, which means that he was just about 15 kilometers away from human civilization. He wanted to dash directly toward that area, but he stopped himself when he noticed that the sun was now beginning to set and he didn't really want to travel through an unknown jungle when the sun was down. He wasn't afraid or anything, as he was sure and confident that even without Kurama, he would be able to easily handle anything by himself. However, that didn't mean that he was going to head on towards something that he knew could put him at a disadvantage. As he was hungry, tired, thirsty, and looked like someone who had fought with a pack of starving wolves. So, he decided to simply spend the night in the forest, more specifically, at the stream which he had sensed as he needed water quite badly, and if he was not wrong, there were some fishes in that stream as well. But before that, he needed to check something. With that in mind, he instantly entered his 6-path sage mode. Now, the orange pigmentation around his eyes was gone, and his pupils transformed into a cross shape consisting of vertical fox slits and horizontal toad slits, while his eyes turned orange. Though, he didn't have Kurama's chakra cloak surrounding him like he often had when using the mode, as he had decided to not use it to conserve his friend's chakra. After entering the mode, he closed his eyes in concentration and extended his sensory senses gifted to him by the mode to their max capabilities. And after a few seconds, his face split into a massive grin as he was able to sense his best friend's chakra, even well beyond multiple dimensions through the link that both of their chakras had with each other. He was also able to sense the thing that would probably get him and Kurama back to their world, the tri-pronged kunai that was left in their world. Damn, Kurama wasn't exaggerating when he said that this world is very distant from our world. Naruto thought out loud as he finally sensed and realized that this world was very far from his own. He then opened his eyes and deactivated his 6-path sage mode, happy and satisfied with his observations. Though, during his observations, he had also sensed something which made him quite concerned. He had sensed a massive amount of negative emotions and negative energy just about 300 kilometers south of his current location, it even made him a bit on edge. However, he decided to just push that information to the back of his mind for later observations and to ignore it for now, since he had other important things to take care of like getting food and water. Damn it. I'm so hungry. Naruto swore while holding his now growling stomach and stood up. He then started to slowly trek toward the stream that he had sensed before in his sage mode. After a few minutes of walking through the forest, he finally found the stream and he couldn't help but let out a cheer joyously. When he saw that the water in the stream was clean and even had some fishes swimming in the stream. Thank the sage. Line break. The next morning. Naruto groaned as the morning rays of sunlight hit his face. He groggily woke up from his sleep rubbing his eyes and wiping away the drool of saliva from his face. He was shirtless and was only in his orange boxer, having sealed away the ruined clothes that he was wearing yesterday. He then let out a massive yawn and started to get himself out of his sleeping bag which he had unsealed from one of the seals that he has inscribed on his left arm. All the seals he had inscribed on his left arm were to seal and keep his ninja equipment like shurikens, kunes, and his tri-pronged kunes. There were also some extra clothes, a sleeping bag, and even some chakra bars sealed away on those seals. He had learned that a shinobi had to be always ready and prepared as one didn't know when they would be called or needed for missions. And for that, he was quite pleased with himself for his forethought. After washing his face in the stream, he ate the fish that he had caught and roasted from the stream last night using a simple fire jutsu that he had learned some months ago. After finishing his breakfast, he sealed away the sleeping bag and unsealed an orange-colored t-shirt, black cargo pants, and his headband. After he got dressed he decided to head north towards the town he had sensed yesterday. Line break. It had been somewhere around 35 minutes since he had started his journey toward the town by hopping on trees at a slow pace as he was not really in a rush and he also wanted to serene atmosphere provided by the forest a bit longer when he suddenly noticed something or someone that made him stop on his trek. He then crouched on the tree branch that he was now standing on just 50 meters away from the group to get a better view. As he finally got a much better view, he was thoroughly delighted to see that they were humans. In fact, there were 4 humans huddling in a small circle. Yes. Finally. Naruto silently cheered, not wanting to give away his location as he wanted to observe them a little bit to make sure that those people weren't enemies or at least didn't have any ill intentions. He closely observed them and took in their odd appearances. One of them had black hair and was wearing a straw hat, the other person on the right had green hair and was wearing a bunch of earrings. While the person on the left of the straw hat wearing guy had blonde hair and was smoking a cigarette. Finally, the guy at the front had black hair and the most prominent feature of this person was his long nose. And much to his growing curiosity, all 4 of them had the same strange energy inside them. What an odd bunch. Naruto couldn't help but comment on the odd group of people. A massive sweat drop appeared on his forehead when he noticed that all 4 of them had matching stupid grins on their faces and he finally realized what they were doing huddling together. They were counting a bunch of papers which he guessed were money. No. It was indeed money, judging by the expression on their faces. Though, from his observation of the 4 odd people, he learned something that made him quite glad. He could clearly understand what they were saying to each other, which meant that the people in this world spoke the same language as him and he didn't have to worry about any language barrier. From their conversations, he was able to deduce that the straw hat guy was named Duffy. The green-haired guy was named Zolo. The blonde that was smoking was named Ranji and the guy with the long nose was named Yasip. Along with their names, he also concluded that they were thieves. Sigh, just my luck. Of all the people that I could have come across in this world, it had to be thieves. He sighed and jumped down from the tree, deciding to finally approach the thieves for more information about his world. Line break. 5 minutes ago. Duffy, Zolo, Ranji, and Yasip couldn't believe their luck. Last night they had broken into a house of a really stingy merchant who hadn't paid them for transporting some of his goods to steal the money that he had owed them. However, to their absolute surprise and giddiness, they had found stacks of money jewels hidden in one of the closets in the house. So, naturally, they decided to steal half of the money as an act of revenge for being a jerk. They could have stolen all of the money, but they weren't that bad. Right. Or were they? They didn't really care. They were now quickly counting the huge stacks of money that they had earned. Eyes, with this money we could finally open the restaurant that we have been dreaming to open. Yasip exclaimed gleefully as the amount had crossed the 500,000 jewel mark. Indeed, we can finally stop doing those odd jobs or stealing from other people to get by. Ranji agreed enthusiastically with his friend as he put down the stack of money that he had finished counting and picked up another stack from the bloated duffel bag where they had kept the money. Now don't say that. I really enjoyed doing those odd jobs, you know. It kinda gave us a sense of adventure. Duffy grinned as he thought of the many odd jobs that they had done over the years. Those jobs were really fun. Though, he agreed with his friends that he was happy that they didn't have to steal again. Only someone like you would like collecting cow dungs, adventurous, Duffy, Zolo stated without even looking at his grinning friend as he was giving all his attention to the money that he was counting. However, after 3 seconds he stopped counting the stack of money that he was holding and stared at the stacks with a blank expression. Zolo called his friends nervously and gulped when he saw they were now looking at him curiously. What happened, Zolo? Duffy asked curiously as they noticed the nervous expression on Zolo's face. You damn. Mosshead. You forgot the counting, didn't you? Ranji questioned angrily, pointing his finger accusingly at Zolo. Who are you calling Mosshead? You damn hero cook. Zolo angrily exclaimed, dropping the stacks of money from his hand. I was calling you Mosshead. You damn, Mosshead. Both of them growled as they were now clenching each other's shirts tightly with electricity shooting from their glaring eyes. Calm down guys, we still have a lot of jewels to count, Yasip nervously said, trying to calm them down. Zolo, Duffy called with a serious tone in his voice, prompting both Zolo, Sanji, and even Yasip to look at him as they heard the seriousness in his voice. Did you really forget the amount of jewels you had counted? Yes, Zolo nodded his head, a bit ashamed of his mistake, though he was still clenching Ranji's shirt tightly. I am really sorry for messing up my counting. He admitted and apologized for his mistake. I expected more from you, Zolo. How can you make such childish mistakes? Though, I guess not everyone is perfect. So, it's okay. I forgive you, Zolo. Duffy said, nodding his head sagely, not noticing the numerous veins that were now appearing on Zolo's face. You damn idiot. It was because of you I made the mistake. If I hadn't commented on your dumb statement about our odd jobs, I wouldn't have made the mistake. Zolo angrily screamed, grabbing Duffy's sleeveless red vest with his right hand. His left hand still holding on to Ranji's shirt. He then pulled both of them and started to beat them, which then turned into a fight between the three of them. You damn. Mosshead. Stop calling me that. Hero cook. Boy. Zolo. Stop grabbing my straw hat. Hey, guys. Stop fighting. Yasip yelled, trying to stop the fight, but he was completely ignored by them. As he watched the smoke of dust where his friends were fighting, with a resigned expression, his face suddenly turned completely pale when he noticed someone slowly approaching them. Guys. Stop fighting. Someone is coming towards us. He screamed anxiously to his friends and was relieved when his friends finally stopped their fight as they also noticed the person that was approaching them. Zolo. Ranji. Yasip. Hide the money, quickly. Duffy ordered his friends as they all hastily grabbed the money that was laying on the grass due to their fight and started to shove them inside the bloated duffel bag. They then quickly carried the duffel bag towards a bush and hid it there. Why do you guys think he is coming towards us? Yasip wheezed and questioned his friends. How would I know? Zolo answered back and tried to calm down his racing heartbeat. Same here, I also don't have any idea. Ranji replied, lighting up a new cigarette. Doesn't he look like the guy that we robbed last month at Harjan Town? What? Are you sure, Duffy? The three of them exclaimed in surprise and stared at Duffy. They also remembered that they had to steal a camera from some guy in Harjan Town as they didn't had any money and were starving. Yes, I'm 100% sure he is the guy. Duffy claimed, narrowing his eyes at the approaching man. How do you know he is the same person that we robbed last month? Wasn't it too dark for any one of us to have noticed that guy's appearance? Ranji asked, still not sure about Duffy's assessment. Well, that guy had blonde hair, right? Duffy asked and the three of them nodded together as they had at least managed to get a glimpse of the guy's hair that they had stolen from. And this guy also has blonde hair, so yeah, he is the same guy. Duffy grinned and gave a thumbs up to his friends, happy with his own assessment. What kind of stupid logic is that? The three of them yelled and punched Duffy on the head, driving his face to the ground. After a few seconds, the three of them took a deep breath and nervously stared at the man, who was now just about 20 meters away from them. Zolo. Ranji. Duffy might be correct, right? Yasip asked, getting a nod from both of them. As they were also now certain that he was the same guy that they had robbed and was probably approaching them to get some reparations or to catch them. After all, it was not every day that a guy with the same color of hair same as the guy that they had robbed in the past would approach them. Just try to appear nonchalant, okay? And just deny that we were the ones that stole his camera. Ranji advised his friends, getting a nod of agreement from them. Why did you guys hit me? Duffy sniffed as he finally managed to pull himself off the ground and heard his friends agreeing with his assessment of the guy. Well, it just sounded stupid when you said it before. Though, now it seems pretty logical when we thought about it. Zolo told Duffy as both Yasip and Ranji nodded their head in agreement. You guys are so mean. Stop being over dramatic, Duffy. Let us all put on our best smiles in front of that guy and just deny that we were the ones that stole his camera, okay? Ranji scolded and advised their friend. Sniff, okay. Line break. Present. As Naruto slowly walked toward the group, he was questioning his decision to ask them for information. Since he had seen them arguing among each other, which turned into full-on fighting just for a small reason. A massive sweat drop appeared on his face when he saw them stopping their fight and hurriedly scrambling to hide their money, and he even facepalmed when he saw them hiding the money in a bush. Did they even realize that I can see them hiding the money? He questioned himself, his pace getting slower and slower with every step. He sighed when he could now hear them clearly admitting to stealing a camera from some guy and assuming him to be that guy just because he had blonde hair. Why are they even discussing their plan so loudly? Do they even realize that I can clearly hear them? He again questioned himself and his decision to approach them. Never mind, I don't have many options. They are my best bet now. Naruto sighed as he finally got close to the group who were now smiling awkwardly at him. Well, I don't have anything to lose. Hello, guys. My name is Naruto and I wanted to ask you guys for some information. We weren't the one that stole your camera. Duffy. Naruto sweat dropped as he now saw Duffy getting choked by his three friends due to his sudden declaration. There might have been a misunderstanding, I'm not the guy that you all are thinking me to be. I just want to ask you guys some questions regarding this place. Naruto told them, trying to placate the situation. What kind of questions? Zolo asked curiously as the three of them stopped choking Duffy. Well, nothing much. I just want to like to know the name of this place as well as some other basic information, like the year. What kind of idiot doesn't even know the year? Are you trying to waste our time? Ranji questioned, narrowing his eyes a little, getting a nod of agreement from his friends. Naruto's eyebrow twitched a little at the idiot remark and took a deep breath to calm himself down. Look, Ranji, it's not like that. I'm just new here and I don't know much about this place. How do you know Ranji's name? He hadn't even told his name to you yet. Yasip exclaimed, shakingly pointing his finger at Naruto. Ah shit. Naruto cursed himself for slipping away the name and raised his arms, trying to calm them down. I told you. He is the same guy that we robbed last month. Duffy exclaimed as he too was now pointing his fingers at Naruto. It seems so, Zolo said as he narrowed his eyes at Naruto. The four of them were now fully convinced that Naruto was the same guy that they had robbed and he was here to either ask them for reparations or to catch them. After all, how would he know their name? He must have probably spied on them or must have asked the authorities or the Rune Knights for information on them. Wait guys. It's nothing like that. Naruto nervously said as he could feel their misunderstanding gaining new heights due to their wild imaginations. Are you here to take back the camera that we stole? What, no? Well, sorry. But we sold the camera for 80,000 jewels. What jewels? Yes. If not for the camera. Are you here to ask us to pay you reparations? Look, you guys are clearly. Or are you here to arrest us and hand us to the Ruined Knights? What are you guys even talking about? Naruto exclaimed. He was now slowly getting annoyed and even a bit angry at the absurd questions that each of them was throwing at him. Heck, he didn't even understood half of those questions. What the hell were jewels? And Ruined Knights? His patience with those four dumbasses was slowly reaching its breaking point. And so he decided to just head toward the town to get the information that he needed instead of wasting his time with those idiots. If not, he was probably going to end up beating them. Are you here to steal the money that we have stolen last night? Duffy questioned, glaring at him, prompting his friend's jaws to drop to the ground and looked at him with wide eyes. Duffy? What? Money? Naruto blinked at the question and slightly glanced at the bush where he knew that they had hidden the money. Which he would soon realize was a grave mistake. Ah. Ha. I was right. You are here to steal our money, isn't it? Duffy exclaimed, pointing at Naruto accusingly as he along with his friends noticed Naruto slightly glance at the bush. No. I'm not here for your money. Then how do you know where we hid our money? Ranji glared at Naruto. I just saw you guys hiding it. So, you were spying on us to steal our money? Yasop exclaimed in shock. Look. We are not going to let you steal our money. Duffy declared as he took a stance and a big transparent red circle with some words which Naruto couldn't understand appeared on Duffy's right arm. Duffy? Wait. Zolo, Ranji and Yasop tried to stop their friend from attacking, but they were too late. Naruto was alarmed when he saw the big transparent red circle suddenly appear on Duffy's arm and felt the strange energy that he sensed inside Duffy before, slowly concentrating on Duffy's arm. Gomu jet pistol. His eyes widened a bit when he saw Duffy's right arm suddenly stretched like rubber and headed toward him at a rapid pace. Even though he was surprised by the attack, he was easily able to avoid it by tilting his head slightly to the right. He then noticed Duffy's arm getting retracted back to its original size. What? How did he avoid Duffy's attack so easily? Yasop exclaimed in shock as all four of them saw how easily Naruto had avoided Duffy's attack. Naruto's sweat dropped as he saw the shocked expression on their faces. Why are they so shocked? That attack was not even that fast or hard to avoid. Erg. I'm not done yet. I'm not going to let you steal the money that we have stolen. Duffy angrily yelled as his attack was so easily avoided and started to prepare for another attack. Stop attacking me, idiot. I'm not here for your money. Gomu grab. What? Naruto blinked when he saw another red circle appear on Duffy's arms and just like before Duffy's arms stretched like rubber and started heading toward him. Though instead of just one arm like before, both of his arms were stretched. However, the speed of the arms was even slower than before. And just like last time, Naruto was easily able to avoid the arms which were now trying to grab him instead of getting retracted. Idiot. Stop trying to attack me. Naruto yelled as he simply sidestepped another attempt by Duffy's extended arm to grab him. Who are you calling an idiot? You dumb whiskered blonde. Oh, that was it. These guys had finally done it. He had been trying so hard to appease them and solve the misunderstandings that they had about him. He was also gracious enough to not have attacked back when Duffy had suddenly attacked him. He had also acted so patiently with them. But what did they give him in return? Nothing. They didn't even give him the information that he wanted and one of them had the nerve to call him whiskered blonde. He had enough. Naruto glared at Duffy's stretched arms that were trying to grab him and decided to teach that idiot a lesson. So, he let the arms grab his shoulder. Yeah. I finally caught you. Duffy grinned and cheered along with Yasop. He then grabbed both of the arms and yanked them hard. He grinned in satisfaction when he saw the shocked expression on all of their faces. When Duffy flew toward him at an immense speed. Naruto then kneed Duffy on the stomach, who gasped in pain and curled up on the ground while holding his stomach. Of course, he wasn't really trying to kill or injure the idiot, so he made sure he didn't use all his strength on that strike. Duffy. Zolo, Ranji and Yasop screamed in concern when they saw their friend gasping in pain and holding his stomach in pain. Don't worry, he will be fine. And he was the one that attacked me first, you know. Naruto told the concerned trio. How dare you hurt him? You bastard. Ranji screamed angrily as a big yellow circle appeared on the ground where he was standing. Ranji then disappeared from his spot displaying an impressive amount of speed and appeared high above Naruto, his right leg positioned for an axe kick. Guillotine kick. Naruto, though a bit surprised and impressed by the speed that Ranji has displayed, simply stopped the kick from hitting him by grabbing Ranji's leg and slamming him hard on the ground. Ranji along with Zolo and Yasop gasped in surprise when they saw his kick simply stopped by Naruto's hand and before he even knew he was slammed hard to the ground. Ranji? No. Zolo and Yasop screamed as they saw Ranji now wheezing on the ground. Damn you. I'm going to beat your ass. Zolo exclaimed, taking a stance, and a green circle appeared on both of his hands and mouth. Equip. Sword magic 3-sword style. Zolo announced. Naruto watched Zolo curiously when he saw 3 different swords appear on Zolo's hands and mouth. He saw Zolo was now holding a sword in each of his hands and holding another sword in his mouth. Well, not actually holding, more like biting. What? Naruto muttered in confusion when he saw the odd and illogical style of sword stance. It kinda reminded him of Karabi's sword style, though 5 swords less. FanFiction. Naruto sweat dropped as he didn't understand what Zolo was trying to say due to his voice being muffled by the sword in his mouth. Though, he guessed, Yasop had understood everything if his cheering was any indication. Zolo charged at Naruto with a determined expression on his face and tried to slash at Naruto when he got near with all three of his swords. Though his eyes widened when he completely missed his slash as Naruto had suddenly disappeared from his view. Zolo. Above you. Hearing Yasop yell, he quickly looked up, but it was too late as a foot smashed him on the face and his world exploded in pain. Naruto sighed as he looked at the twitching body of Zolo on the ground after he had jumped to avoid the attempted slash by the green head and landed a hard kick on the said green head's face. Though, to his astonishment, Zolo was still biting his three swords. Naruto then turned his attention toward the other jerk of the group and he couldn't help but sigh again. When he saw the terrified expression on Yasop's face and shaking legs. "Are you also going to attack me as well?" Naruto asked tiredly. "Stay back. Otherwise, I'll show the power of the great Yasop," Yasop warned, pulling a small brown catapult from his pant pocket and aiming at Naruto. Though, his warning would have been a bit more impactful if he was not shaking like a leaf. "Look, I don't want to hurt you guys, so just try to calm down. Okay?" Naruto told Yasop and couldn't help but feel a bit amused as he saw Yasop shaking in fear. "You just hurt them. And you are saying that you don't want to hurt us? Your friend was the one who attacked me first. I was just fighting in self-defense." "Yeah, right. Wait, don't move. I have 1,000 men surrounding this area and if you even know." "Wait." Yasop warned fearfully when he saw Naruto just ignore what he was saying and started to walk toward him. "Unmagic. Starfire shot." Yasop screamed as an orange-colored circle appeared in front of his catapult and he released a yellow pellet projectile from his catapult at Naruto. However, his attack didn't hit the intended target and was completely missed as Naruto suddenly vanished in a puff of smoke. Seeing that, Yasop fearfully shook and stared at the spot where Naruto was standing just a second ago. "He is behind me, isn't he?" Yasop gulped as he saw his friends, who were laying on the ground, pointing at his back with a terrified look on their faces. His whole body turned pale when he saw them nod at him and he felt a strong grip on his right shoulder. Yasop then crumbled to the ground screaming in pain when Naruto applied pressure on his shoulder. Naruto sighed tiredly as he looked at the groaning figures on the ground. He massaged his forehead with his hand, trying to stop the massive headache that he could feel was coming. "Are you guys ready to finally hear me out or not?" Naruto asked tiredly, receiving 4 terrified nods in return. Line break. 30 minutes later. After the 4 idiots, as Naruto had now decided to call them, had finally managed to stop groaning in pain, Naruto was able to dispel the misunderstanding that they had of him and managed to get the information about this world from them. Naruto made an excuse and lied to them that he was from a very secluded island and he had just arrived yesterday, and he even added that he suffers from a disease which causes memory loss, just for good measure. Of course, they were a bit skeptical at first, but they slowly started to fill him up about this world. At first, he had asked them about the year and they had told him that this year was X787. He thought that they were trying to pull his leg, but it seems the people here really counted their years with letters in them. Though, thankfully, the name of the months, weeks and days was similar to his world. And apparently, today was Friday, dated 22, and the month was September. After that, he asked them more about the place that they were in. At first, he had asked them about the basic information, like money, but after a while, it somehow turned into a full-on history class, as one of the 4 idiots got too much invested in it. And the more they informed him about this world, the more he got confused and amazed by the world that he had now found himself in. Who would have thought that magic or mages were real? But those things were not just a fairy tale in this world, they were all real. "Wow," Naruto said, amazed by the information that Ranji had just given him about this world which he now knew was called Earthland, not having any wars for the last 75 years. For someone like him, that originated from a world that had been constantly at war, he himself playing a huge role in the recent war. This world was like a paradise as it was way more peaceful compared to his world, and he wondered whether the elemental nations would ever be able to achieve the same peace as them if they continued to maintain the peace that they had acquired after the 4th Shinobi War. Amazing, right? Ranji grinned as he finished explaining to Naruto about Earthland and Fiori history. "Yes, it is indeed amazing." Naruto replied with a similar grin on his face and stood up as they were all sitting cross-legged on the grass. He then looked at the sky and guessed that it was probably around 9 AM. "Guys, thank you so much for helping me. But I think I will have to start walking toward Harjan town." "So, soon?" Duffy frowned and asked as he had realized that Naruto was a pretty cool guy just from the 30 minutes that they had spent together. Agreeing with his sentiments, all his other 3 friends nodded their heads in confirmation as they also really found Naruto to be a cool guy. Even though he had completely terrified them just moments ago. "I am really sorry, Duffy. But I real. Growl. Ah, Naruto blushed when his stomach suddenly growled loudly and he heard the other guys snickering at him. No wonder you wanted to go to Harjan so soon. You were hungry, weren't you? Yasop quipped as he along with his group covered their mouth with their right hand to hide their snickering. Naruto blushed even more at Yasop's comment and nodded his head. As it was indeed true. Well, along with trying to find a place to stay and to know more about this world. Do you guys know ramen? Naruto asked the four idiots who were still snickering at his predicament as he really wanted to eat ramen and wondered whether it even exists in this world. God forbid if it didn't. What kind of question is that? Of course, we know about ramen. Ranji answered as they finally stopped snickering. Well, how much does a bowl of ramen cost here? Naruto curiously asked as along with the cost of the ramen, he also wanted to get a rough value of the jewels. Which he now knew was the name of this world currency. If I'm not wrong, it cost around 200 jewels for a bowl of ramen. Zolo thought a bit and replied getting a nod of agreement from his friends. But you guys know that I don't have any jewels, right? Yeah, from what you have told us. You are kinda broke. Duffy stated, sadly nodding his head along with his friends as they had also been in the same situation a lot of times. So can you guys lend me 500 jewels? Naruto sheepishly asked them. You blonde whiskered idiot. You were after our money all along, weren't you? The four of them screamed pointing their fingers at Naruto once again. Don't call me that. You dumbasses. And weren't we over that whole, me being after your money argument? Naruto exclaimed as twitch marks started appearing on his forehead. He would have beaten those idiots again for that whiskered comment, but he held back. After all, he was the one asking for help from them. Then YHHH. Gorian. Before Duffy could finish with his comeback against Naruto, he along with Zolo, Ranji, and Yasop screamed in fear when they saw three huge hulking gorilla-like beasts jump down from the trees and walk towards their location. What are those things? Naruto curiously asked the three screaming idiots, his previous anger at them completely forgotten as he observed the three gorilla-like beasts. The three beasts' animals had green-colored fur and their pectorals, abdominals, hands, ears, and facial features colored had a bright shade of purple. Their eyes lacked pupils and seemingly glowed pink. The lower half of their body had a darker shade of green and the decorative pattern on their arms consisted of 5 pink hearts on each arm. These animals are Gorian, a species of Vulcan. They are known to be quite aggressive to humans and like to take over the body of humans after they attack them. Yasop gulped and informed Naruto, still completely terrified by the arrival of the three Gorian. He was now huddling and shaking together with his friends. So, these Gorians must be the animals that I had sensed yesterday. Naruto thought as he recalled him sensing animals that had Ethernano, which he now knew was the term for the strange energy in the atmosphere here inside their body. And it looks like they really want to beat us to a pulp. You guys. Come behind me and stay back. I'll handle this. Naruto advised the terrified four idiots who didn't think twice and scrambled behind him. Are you sure you can handle them, Naruto? Even a mid-class mage has a hard time taking on a single Gorian. Yasop asked, concerned for their supposed savior. They knew that Naruto was no ordinary mage since he had beaten the four of them quite easily, but they were only low C-class mages. Which, if he was honest, any A or even B-class mages could have done. Don't worry about me. I'm way stronger than I look. Naruto grinned and gave them a thumbs up confidently. He then turned his attention toward the three Gorians. Yo. Can you guys understand me? Zolo, Ranji, Duffy, and Yasop's jaws dropped to the ground when they heard Naruto cheerfully greet the three Gorian. How many stupid questions can you even ask? Of course, they can't understand you. They all yelled at Naruto for asking another dumb question, however, they again screamed in shock when the three Gorian actually nodded at Naruto's question. What? They can understand human language? Naruto beamed, ignoring the scream from the four idiots as he saw the three Gorians nod their heads in understanding. That's great. Now can you please don't attack us and leave us alone? Naruto asked, hoping that the Gorians would just leave them alone as he really didn't want to fight now and wanted to just head to Harjan town. Since he could feel his stomach demanding food. He again ignored the indignant scream from the four idiots. The three Gorians looked at each other for a few seconds and shook their head negatively, no, can't do. Naruto's beaming smile twitched a little when he heard the Gorians reject his request. They can talk as well. Why not? Naruto asked, his beaming smile still in place and again ignoring the scream of the four idiots. We want human body. One of the Gorian replied, its glowing pink eyes now glaring at Naruto. Why though? Naruto curiously asked. No, question. Human. Fight now. One of the Gorian roared as the three Gorian charged at Naruto, eliciting a scream of terror from Zolo, Ranji, Duffy, and Yasop. Ah shit. Naruto cursed as he saw the three Gorians charging at him and decided to just deal with them with his fist. Naruto dodged a punch aimed at his head by one of the Gorian that had reached him first. He then punched the Gorian in the stomach, which made the Gorian stumble back a little and simultaneously made the other two Gorians stop their charge midway and looked at the Gorian that he had just punched. The Gorian, whom he had punched just now, rubbed at its stomach with its hand a little and grinned at the other two Gorians who were looking at it. "Human, punch weak," it declared, and the other two Gorians nodded in agreement. "You little shits." Naruto gritted his teeth in anger when he heard the Gorian declare that his punch was weak. How dare they? He hadn't even used chakra to augment his punch as he didn't want to hurt them too much. Since he reasoned that they were just innocent animals, driven by their instinct. But they had the nerve to call his punch weak. Now he was going to seriously hurt them. The four idiots shook in fear when they saw Naruto getting his teeth and saw his face going through various emotions. It reminded them of the moment when Naruto had trashed them. "I feel bad for the Gorians now," Ranji gulped and whispered to his friend, getting a nod of agreement from them. Naruto gathered chakra into his fist and charged at the Gorians, and before the Gorians could even react, he punched the middle Gorian on its face, releasing the chakra that he had gathered in his fist in a quick burst, resulting in the Gorian flying back 50 meters away and crashing into a tree. Naruto lunged at the other Gorian on the right and punched it in the face as well, using the same technique that he used before in his punch, which he learned by watching Sakura train. The force of the punch also made the Gorian fly and slammed on the other Gorian that had crashed into a tree. He then dashed toward the final Gorian and punched it as well, but on the stomach, which made the Gorian gasp a little and flew and crashed into the other two Gorians, completely knocked out. Just like the other two. "That's what you get for being a jerk. You stupid gorillas." Naruto exclaimed angrily, pointing his fingers at the three knocked out Gorians. He then took a deep breath to calm himself down and turned towards the four idiots whose jaws were on the ground and were looking at the Gorians wide-eyed. "See? I told you guys I can handle them." Naruto grinned, giving a nice guy pose. What was that?" Yasop shakily asked, pointing his finger at the Gorians. He along with his friends were completely shocked and terrified by the strength and speed that they had just witnessed. They had never seen someone knocked out a Gorian with just a single punch. And it was not even one Gorian, but three. And on top of that, it took Naruto only 3 seconds to do it. That means it only took him 1 second to knock down each of the Gorian. They were now so glad and thanking their stars that Naruto hadn't used half of the strength that he had displayed now against them. Otherwise, they would have surely died. "That was nothing. They just annoyed me a little, that's it." Naruto shrugged as he glanced at the Gorians. "Did you kill them?" Duffy asked cautiously. "No, I didn't. I just used enough force to knock them out." "That means he could have easily killed them." The four idiots gulped and thought simultaneously. Now Naruto narrowed his eyes at them, which made the four idiots shiver a little due to the intensity of Naruto's stare. "Can you guys please lend me 500 jewels? I'm really hungry and I don't have any money to buy food. Please." Naruto begged them, holding his roaring stomach, with tears falling from his eyes like a literal waterfall. "Don't scare us like that." The four idiots exclaimed and took a deep breath, which they didn't know they were holding. "And no. Wait. We will think about it." "What the heck, Zolo? Why would we think about something so obvious?" Duffy yelled as all of them looked at Zolo in confusion. Naruto included. Zolo sighed and motioned to his friends to huddle up to him. Which made Naruto even more confused and curious. "Look, I also don't want to give any of our money. But we might have to give away 500 jewels to Naruto, as I remembered something very important." Zolo confided to his friend. "Why though?" Yasop asked in confusion. "From what I remember, Gorians tend to live and hunt with a group of at least 15 members in a given area, so there are high chances that there are still other 12 Gorians near us or in this area of the forest." "What?" The other three exclaimed in fear at the news. "But, Zolo. Why do we have to give our money to Naruto? What's the relation between him and the Gorians?" Duffy questioned, confused with what Zolo was trying to say. "I was getting to that, idiot." Zolo scolded Duffy and began with his reasoning. Line break. After a few minutes of discussion, Zolo, Ranji, Yasop, and Duffy grinned at each other after they had come to a decision after hearing Zolo's reasoning, which they thought was quite ingenious. They then broke their group huddle and turned toward Naruto, who was whistling innocently. "Naruto. We have agreed to lend you 500 jewels." Duffy exclaimed and grinned along with his friends as they told Naruto the good news. "Oh really?" Naruto quirked one of his eyebrows, now looking at the four grinning idiots. "Yes. That's great, isn't it?" "No." Naruto blankly said with an unreadable expression on his face. "Eh? Why? We thought you would be happy if we gave you our money." Duffy asked as the four of them sweated and stared at Naruto. "Well, because I can sense a but somewhere in your reason to pay me, that's why," Naruto stated, his voice going up a pitch when he said but, which made the four idiots to sweat even more. How did you know that?" I didn't know. I just guessed it." Oh, well then. You guessed it right. Yasop nervously laughed and pushed Zolo a little to begin explaining what they had discussed to Naruto. Well, Naruto. We will lend you 500 jewels, but you will have to go together with you guys to Harjan town. Right. How did you know that? Zolo nervously asked Naruto as he along with his friends could feel their clothes completely getting wet by the amount of sweat that they were sweating. When Naruto narrowed his eyes at them, hard. I just guess it as well. Naruto happily grinned. Don't scare us like that. The four idiots excluding Zolo exclaimed at Naruto for almost giving them a heart attack. Do good guess. So will you go Tog? Together with you guys while protecting you all from any Gorian attacks. Right. Naruto completed Zolo's sentence again, with his grin now looking a bit menacing. The four idiots' bodies completely turned cold as Naruto found out the real reasoning behind their agreement to give him the jewels. How did you know that? Don't tell us that it was also a guess. Ranji shakily inquired. Well, because you idiots discussed your plan so loudly. I bet even the Gorians in the forest might have heard you guys. Naruto exclaimed furiously, hitting all of them on the head with his fist, resulting in their faces kissing the ground. The four idiots groaned in pain as large bumps appeared on their heads. They slowly stood up and then directly went down on their knees and bowed to Naruto. Please. Naruto. Protect us out of the forest. Please. They all pleaded simultaneously at Naruto. Though, Naruto had another idea. If it was any other situation, he would have readily helped them out of the forest, even without asking them for money. But, he really needed some money right now, as he was practically broke in an unknown world and almost starving. I don't really mind getting out of the forest to Harjan town, together with you guys. Naruto paused and glanced at the four idiots, who were now looking at him hopefully. But, I need you guys to lend me a bit more jewels than 500 if you want me to protect you guys from any Gorian attack as well. Absolutely not. Duffy rejected Naruto's suggestion heatedly and quickly got back on his feet. But, he was quickly brought back to his knee by the other idiots. Shut up, Duffy. Let us first hear how many jewels Naruto wants. The three of them yelled at Duffy and then looked up at Naruto with hope igniting in their heart. After all, Naruto was probably going to ask them for a raise of just some 100 jewels and they were willing to pay at least that much. If it means they could get out of the forest to Harjan without dying to Gorian attacks. How much do you want then, Naruto? Ranji asked smiling along with his friends, though Naruto could see that their smiles were a bit strained. I don't really know. Naruto mulled over how much raise he wanted. Since, other than ramen, he was not sure of the prices of things that he wanted or were essential to his survival for at least a week or two. Like. How much does an inn cost per night? Naruto inquired since he didn't want to sleep in the forest or on the street for weeks. Oh, an inn? Duffy asked, not noticing the wide-eyed looks and the shushing motion that his friends were giving him. It just cost around 3,000 jewels per night. Damn it. Duffy. Why did you tell him that? Now he is going to ask us to pay him 3,500 jewels. Zolo, Ranji and Yasop yelled at Duffy for his blunder. What? Naruto, are you really going to ask us to pay you 3,500 jewels? Duffy questioned Naruto, completely horrified as he realized his mistake. Oh, no. I'm not going to ask you 3,500 jewels. Naruto smiled and calmed them down. The four idiots let out a sigh of relief when they heard Naruto didn't wanted 3,500 jewels from them. Or so they thought. Instead of 3,500 jewels, I want 25,000 jewels for my services. What? 25,000. The four idiots screamed in shock at the amount and all of them quickly got back on their feet. Hell, no. We are never going to lend you 20,000 jewels. Duffy and Yasop exclaimed, denying his request. And why do you even need 25,000 jewels for? Didn't Duffy just say that the cost of an inn per night is 3,500? Ranji asked, completely taken aback by the increase in the amount that they thought Naruto had initially wanted. Well, I want to look for a job in Harjan and it could probably take me around a week, so Naruto trailed off and grinned at the four idiots. So, you want us to pay for a week of your stay in an inn, then? Zolo asked, his eyebrows twitching a little. Yes. Naruto nodded happily. Absolutely not. Why not? It's not like you guys are actually paying me for my services. I'm asking you guys just to lend me your money. I'm going to pay you guys the money eventually. Naruto exclaimed, a bit annoyed at his request getting completely denied by them. We have only known each other for just an hour, heck. Even less than an hour. How can we be sure that you will pay us back? Yasop questioned Naruto, getting a chorus of agreement from his three friends. I promised you, didn't I? And I never break my promises. That's not a strong enough reason. Why are you guys being so stingy anyways? I know you guys have a bag full of money. Because what you are asking for is nothing more than a daylight robbery. Well, didn't you guys rob that money from someone, huh? Naruto quirked his eyebrows and slightly chuckled when he saw Duffy getting slammed into the ground by his friends for his last comment. Look, Naruto. Ranji took a deep breath and nodded at his friends, ignoring the groaning form of Duffy on the ground. We will lend you only 5,000 jewels, we won't lend you even a single jewel more than that. They all looked at Naruto with a determined expression on their faces after giving him their final offer. However, behind that mask of determination, their thoughts were anything but that. And Naruto, being able to sense people's emotions even without Kurama chakra to an extent, knew what was actually going through their minds. Please, accept it. Please, accept it. Please, accept it. Well, it's too bad we couldn't come to an agreement. I'll be going on my way, then. Take care, guys. Naruto sighed sadly and started walking away from the group. Though, he was grinning internally. Wait, Naruto. Hook, line and sinker. Don't leave us here alone. We will lend you 20,000 jewels. Please take us along with you to Harjan. The four idiots yelled, fearfully scrambling toward Naruto and giving him another offer. Come on, guys. Why 5,000 jewels less? Instead of the 5,000 jewels, how about we give you even more important information about Fiori? Ranji nervously offered, praying that Naruto would agree. What kind of information? Naruto asked, raising his eyebrows a little, curious by the supposed information that Ranji was offering. Like magic guilds and the magic council, Ranji replied, now praying even more and hoping Naruto didn't know anything about those two. When Naruto heard the word council, he was completely sold. He didn't know or really thought much about the magic guilds, even though they sounded amazing to him. But he knew that anything related to the word council was of utmost importance if he wanted to learn more about this world. Okay. Line break. Harjan town. After walking through the forest for about 45 minutes, they had finally reached the gate of Harjan town. They could have been here a bit earlier if Zolo hadn't somehow gotten lost from the group 3 times. Naruto still didn't know how it had happened or even possible for someone to get lost on a straight path. But, according to the other guys in the group, it happened quite often. So he had just shrugged and chalked it up to the group's oddness. Though, during their journey through the forest, he gained a lot of valuable information about the guild system and the magic council from Ranji and even the other guys. Magic guilds in a simplified term were just like hidden villages, and the magic council was an organization that controlled and oversaw anything related to magic, including the magic guilds. After they had finished explaining about the magic guilds and the magic council to him, Naruto had asked them some simple questions about themselves, as he wanted to know about them a bit more. Since he knew that those guys, even if they were thieves, weren't necessarily bad guys or even evil, and he could sense no negative feelings or ill intentions from them. The 4 idiots had told him that they were childhood friends and they were from a small town called Raftel, which was the southernmost town in the kingdom of Fiori. They had left their home in search of adventure and opportunities when they were just 15. Even though they knew magic, they had never wanted or intend to join a magic guild as they wished and planned to open a restaurant of their own, having fallen in love with the restaurant business. When they were working at a restaurant as one of the many odd jobs that they had done over the past 4 years. Which they told him was possible now, as they had just gotten stolen the required funds that they had needed to open their dream restaurant in a town called Magnolia. When he had asked why Magnolia, they had told him that it was the only town where they haven't stolen anything from someone. And Naruto couldn't really fault them for that. Even he had stolen food from certain stores when he was hungry and made sure that he was never seen in front of those shops. As they finally entered the town, Naruto was completely taken aback by the beauty of the town. Zolo, Duffy, Ranji and Yasop were apparently not exaggerating when they were describing the beauty of this town to him. He was surprised to notice that the architecture of the houses in this town was completely different from the ones back in Konoha. Naruto could also see why they called this town a port town as he saw the numerous ships and yachts lining up the docks. Well, Naruto. Thank you for agreeing to accompany us through the forest and protecting us from the Gorians. Duffy said while giving Naruto a stink eye as they hadn't really gotten attacked by any Gorian. And they had already paid Naruto 20,000 jewels. Stop it, Duffy. Ranji pulled Duffy's cheek for the comment and looked at Naruto with a smile on his face. Thank you, Naruto. Even though we didn't meet any Gorians on our way, we all felt safe because you were with us. Ranji thanked Naruto as all of them nodded in agreement. Though, Duffy's nod was a bit hesitant. No problem, guys. I would also like to thank you all for giving me information about this war place and of course, for the jewels as well. And I promise that I'll return it all the next time that we meet again. Naruto said as he was indeed really grateful to have met them and for the help that they had given him. Granted, he did save them from 3 8-feet-tall magic gorillas, but that was neither here nor there. Okay, then we will be taking our leave then. You guys will be heading to Magnolia town, right? Yes, do remember to meet us there in our restaurant. Yasop grinned at Naruto. Okay, sure. Take care guys, bye. Naruto waved goodbye at the four guys who were about to head in the direction of the train station. Bye Naruto. Take care Naruto. Goodbye Naruto. Bye, Blonde. They all said their goodbyes and started heading toward their destinations. Naruto suddenly stopped on his track and turned towards the four retreating figures when he forgot something and cried out. Oh. Wait, Ranji. What was the name of the restaurant which you said had the best ramen in this town was? It's 8 Island. The restaurant has a large chef's hat on its sign. Just go straight and turn right. You wouldn't miss it. Okay, thank you. And take care, guys. Before the four of them could even respond, Naruto had dashed towards the direction that Ranji had provided. What a weird person, Duffy commented as they watched a small trail of dust left by Naruto. Indeed. Zolo agreed. He is also quite scary, Yasop added, and they all had to agree with that statement. Naruto was quite scary. The four of them then turned and started heading toward the train station at a slow pace. Zolo. Yeah. I forgot to ask you this before, but from where did you remember that fact about Gorians? Sanji asked curiously as he lighted another cigarette and all of them looked at Zolo, a bit curious as well. I think I saw it in a cartoon show about a super Gorian when I was a kid. Zolo thought a bit and absently answered Ranji's question. After a few seconds, Zolo looked at his sides in confusion when he noticed that he was the only one walking now. He turned back and blinked in confusion when he saw his friends were now behind him, simply standing still in the middle of the road and their eyes covered by their hairs, or in Duffy's case by the straw hat. Why are you guys standing like a statue? Zolo asked both in curiosity and confusion. You damn, mosshead. Zolo, you moron. Zolo, you idiot. He didn't even get to scream before he was tackled by his friends in the middle of the street and started beating him. What the heck did I do? Line break. Naruto was sitting inside the restaurant that Ranji had recommended to him and he was now staring at the menu that the nice waitress had provided him. His eyes narrowed and scanned the menu from the top to the bottom. He held the menu even tighter than he was holding it before as he realized something which filled him with dread. What the fuck? What are these weird letters? Naruto thought worriedly as other than the numbers which he assumed were the price he couldn't understand a single word. End. X 788, Harjan Town. Ring. Naruto groaned as he tried to muffle the ringing sound of his alarm clock by covering his face with a blanket. However, after a few seconds, he ultimately admitted defeat and decided to just wake up when the ringing sound of the alarm clock started increasing. Naruto tossed a blanket from his face to the side and sleepily pushed himself up into a sitting position on his bed. He scratched the back of his head and drowsily glared at the offending alarm clock, which was still ringing loudly. It was only 6:30 a.m. Letting out a tired sigh, he reached for the alarm clock that was on his nightstand and turned it off. After letting out a massive yawn from his mouth, he got down from his bed and slowly headed toward the bathroom to wash up and take a quick shower. While simultaneously taking off the orange-colored pajamas that he was wearing. After a few minutes, he came out of the bathroom, completely fresh with an orange-colored towel wrapped around his waist. He then went toward his wardrobe and picked out the clothes that he was going to wear for the day, which were a dark orange shirt and black jeans. After he got dressed, Naruto checked himself in the mirror, rolling up the sleeves of his shirt just below his elbows. He raised his eyebrows a little when he noticed that his hair has gotten longer and planned to trim them a little whenever he got the chance. He then grabbed his forehead protector that was on a small table just beside the mirror and tied it to his forehead. Hey, just because he was not in Konoha or the Elemental Nations didn't mean that he was no longer a shinobi. After checking himself in the mirror for the final time, he nodded in satisfaction with his appearance and gave his reflection a thumbs up. Naruto then headed toward the door, not forgetting to wear the black combat boots that were placed at the entrance, and got out of his small one-bedroom apartment, which he was thankfully able to rent a year ago, with the help of his boss. Locking the door of his apartment, he slowly headed toward his workplace to have breakfast and to start with his work. As Naruto leisurely walked the cobblestone roads of Harjan, occasionally greeting some of the vendors that were opening their stores, he couldn't help but wonder how the time has passed so fast. It just felt like yesterday that he and Kurama were dumped into this unknown, magical world, but already a whole year had passed by and he still haven't seen any sign of his partner waking up. And he knew that it would take a long time before he could even talk to his partner again. He deeply missed his home, Konoha. Not a single day passed by without him thinking about his friends and Konoha. And he couldn't wait for the day when he could finally go back to Konoha and meet them. However, these past few months that he had spent in this world have completely made him fall in love with this world. The peace here was kinda intoxicating to him. And he was going to cherish every moment that he had spent in this world when he finally go back to the Elemental Nations. Though he loved the peace and monotony in his current life, he was getting a bit bored by it. He thoroughly missed the thrill of going on missions and fighting strong people. He hadn't been to a fight or had even seen a fight for about 9 months, and it was kinda getting to him. It didn't mean that he was a fight junkie or anything, he just wanted a bit of a thrill. That's it. Should I join a magic guild? He idly wondered as he knew that the guilds receive mission requests just like hidden villages. Though, just because he hasn't seen any action for about a year didn't mean that he was slacking in his training. He would often go to the forest outside of the town to train by fighting against his shadow clones and would even practice some jutsu. While perfecting and refining the jutsu that he already knew, as he didn't want to get rusty due to the lack of action. He even managed to fully master the Hirashin jutsu a couple of months ago. Naruto halted his internal thoughts as he finally reached the building where he used to work. It was a restaurant, in fact, it was the same restaurant that Ranji had recommended to him. The restaurant was called 8 Island and he has been working here as a waiter, cook, security, and sometimes even as a receptionist for over a year. As he stood and looked at the closed door of the restaurant, he couldn't help but fondly recall the fateful day when he was hired by the restaurant owner, to whom he was eternally grateful. Flashback. It had been over 3 weeks since Naruto had parted ways with the 4 idiots, and if he was being honest, his current situation was not looking really good. After he had come to the horrible realization that while the people in this world spoke the same language as him, they certainly didn't write the same way as him. So, he had spent the last 3 weeks trying to learn how to write and read the language of this world, as it was a huge problem that could probably bite him in the ass if he didn't solve it. The process was quite slow and tedious, though. Since he didn't have or knew anyone who could translate the script for him. Hence, he had to take some extreme steps to solve that problem. He had to do something which he had never thought he would ever do in his life. Going to a library and bookstores. More like raiding the town's library and bookstores with dozens of his transformed shadow clones to read and better understand the written script of this world. Occasionally, he would even ask the librarian or the bookstore owners to teach him or translate the script for him. Who, despite looking at him like he was some kind of dunce, had provided the help. And after many trials and errors, he finally managed to learn to read the written script of this world in just 3 weeks. Of course, it would have taken him months without him using more than 100 shadow clones each day. Though, using so many shadow clones had caused him many headaches, not only by the excess amount of information that he was receiving from them, but also by their constant bickering and attitude problems. Sometimes he really hated his shadow clones. They were a pain in the ass. However, spending 3 weeks without doing anything other than studying had put him in a very bad situation right now. He was completely broke. He had spent almost all the jewels that the 4 idiots had lent him on inns, books, and food. Now he had only 250 jewels left in his pocket. He needed to find a job, really badly now. Which he was planning to do today. Though, he doubted it was going to be easy. But first, he needed to fill his stomach with some good ramen as he haven't had his breakfast yet. So, here he was now. Standing in front of his favorite restaurant, called 8 Island, waiting patiently for the restaurant to finally open for the day. As it hadn't opened yet, since it was still really early in the morning, probably around 6:30 a.m. "Hello, young man." Naruto turned around when he heard someone greeting him and saw the person that had greeted him. The person was a short old man with thick light brown eyebrows and a small toothbrush mustache that reached halfway to his mouth. The old man was wearing chef clothes and a chef hat. "Were you calling me, old man?" Naruto curiously asked as he didn't know the old man nor he had ever met him. "Yes," the old man replied, his eyebrow twitching a little when he was given the title old man by the youngster. "I was wondering why you were standing in front of my restaurant so early in the morning." "Oh. You are the owner of this restaurant?" Naruto asked in surprise, getting a nod of confirmation from the old man. "Well, I was just waiting for your restaurant to open since I'm feeling quite hungry at the moment." "You might have to wait for more than an hour then. Since the restaurant doesn't open till 8 a.m. "Yeah, I know. And I don't really mind waiting for another hour." "Oh, really? Any reason for that?" The old man chuckled at Naruto's word and curiously asked. "Well, because your restaurant makes the best ramen in town. That's why I don't mind the wait." Naruto said enthusiastically and grinned as the old man laughed at his response. "Haha, thank you, young man. Let's head inside the restaurant then. It will make me feel bad if I let you wait any longer." The old man kindly said as he slowly walked toward the restaurant door. "What really?" Naruto asked in surprise, getting a jovial nod from the old man. "Thank you so much, old man." "Don't mention it." The old man chuckled as he opened the restaurant door and entered the restaurant with an excited Naruto. "Why don't you sit here and wait for a few minutes while I go to the kitchen and prepare you a nice bowl of ramen?" The old man kindly told Naruto, pointing at one of the chairs. "Sure, old man." Naruto grinned and sat on the chair that the old man had offered him. "Oh, by the way. What kind of ramen would you like?" "Miso ramen." Naruto thought for a second and replied. Okay, just wait for a few minutes. The old man said as he headed to the kitchen to prepare the ramen. After waiting for a few minutes, Naruto saw the old man coming toward him holding a steaming bowl of ramen in his hand. Here you go young man, I hope you like it. The old man said as he placed the bowl on the table. Thank you, old man. Naruto thanked the kind old man and dug into the delicious bowl of ramen. After finishing the ramen in just a few seconds, Naruto let out a huge grin of satisfaction and looked at the old man who was sitting on the opposite side of the table. That was one of the best ramen that I have ever tasted. It was even better than the ramen that I had eaten yesterday in this restaurant. Naruto enthusiastically complimented the old man giving a thumbs up. I'm glad you liked my ramen. The old man laughed and replied. By the way, if you don't mind me asking what's your name, young man? Ah, I didn't give you my name right. Naruto blushed in embarrassment as he had forgot to introduce himself to the guy who was kind enough to offer him a bowl of ramen. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. So, Naruto, do you know how to use magic? The old man asked curiously. Well, yes, I do know how to use magic. Naruto replied after musing for a bit. He didn't know how to use magic or even knew the basics of magic, but he had decided earlier that he would start calling his jutsu as magic. Since it would be quite hard for him to explain to others if they start questioning his unique abilities, and the best way to explain without arousing any suspicion regarding him was to just tell people that his jutsu was a form of magic. Oh, what kind of magic do you use? The old man got even more curious than before and asked. I can create multiple clones of myself. If you don't mind, can you please show me your magic? I don't mind, old man. It's the least I can do for you treating me to ramen. Naruto told the old man and crossed his fingers to perform his signature jutsu. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto lightly called out the name of the jutsu as two identical clones of him appeared beside him in a puff of smoke. Amazing, these clones are solid. The old man exclaimed in amazement as he closely examined the clones. I thought that these clones of yours were similar to thought projection magic, but this is highly advanced. I don't know what you mean by thought projection, but yeah, my clones are solid. And the best part about my clones is that I can get every information that they had learned or gathered when they dispel. Naruto grinned as he boasted about his cool jutsu. How many of these clones of yours can you create at once? The old man asked in excitement with a slight glint in his small eyes, which Naruto missed. Well, I can create more than 1,000 if I want. Would you like to work in my restaurant? The old man asked with a slight hint of excitement in his tone. What? Naruto stumbled a little at the sudden job offer. Really, old man? You are not joking, right? Naruto asked excitedly as he was really in need of a job and he hoped that he was not hallucinating. Yes, I'm not joking. I had heard you talking to yourself about needing to find a job outside the restaurant. Naruto blushed, and so I was wondering whether you would like to work here. I would love to work here, old man. Thank you so much. Naruto cheered, picking the old man up from the chair and hugging him tightly. Ugh, put me down, Naruto. The old man whizzed as his face started turning red due to the tight hug that he was receiving from Naruto. Oh sorry, old man. I got too excited. Naruto sheepishly apologized as he saw the old man's face and placed the old man down on the chair. Cough, it's alright. The old man coughed and waved off the apology. Oh, by the way, Naruto. I have to tell you something. What, old man? Naruto grinned and asked, still too excited with the thought that he had finally gotten a job. He couldn't believe his luck. Now he didn't have to worry about sleeping on the streets or going hungry due to having no money. My name is Ujima. Not old man. Remember that. The old man yelled as he jumped and hit the completely unprepared Naruto on the head with a wooden spoon hard, knocking Naruto's head on the table by the force. And you will be working as a waiter. Line break. Present. Yeah, right. A waiter. Naruto mumbled, sarcasm oozing in his tone as he lazily stirred the blue sky bolognese that he was cooking with a wooden spoon. It was 3 in the evening and Naruto was busy in the restaurant kitchen cooking for the customers as one of the chefs had found it funny to take an early leave today. Did you say something, Naru-chan? Nothing much. Just thinking about the time when you told me that I was going to work here as a waiter, old man. Naruto sarcastically replied, turning off the gas stove and starting plating the bolognese. Haha, I remember that. Ujima amusedly laughed at Naruto's response, flipping an omelette that he was cooking for himself using magic. Boss. Is the blue sky bolognese ready yet? The customer is kinda getting angsty. One Naruto clone peeked inside the restaurant kitchen through a curtain and asked the original. Yeah, it is ready. Take it to the customer. Naruto lazily responded as he handed the plate that he had just plated with the blue sky bolognese to his shadow clone. By the way, old man. Why did Steven leave so early today? Shouldn't he be the one cooking instead of me? Naruto asked with an annoyed expression as he thought of the other chef that used to work in the restaurant. Steven wanted to visit Crocus to watch the Grand Magic Games, which is going to start on Friday. So, he had taken an early leave and a week's holiday. Yujima informed Naruto, happily eating the omelette that he had prepared. What the heck? Today is only Tuesday. Why does he need to take a leave 2 days before the games had even started and put even more work on my plate than I already have? Naruto complained, irritated by his colleague's penchant to dump his cooking duties to him. And most importantly, why does that lazy bum get a holiday for the Grand Magic Games and not me? Well, you didn't ask. Yujima responded with a shrug of his shoulder. As he saw Naruto about to explode in a series of curses, he raised his hand and started speaking. Would you like to go to Crocus with me to watch the tournament? Yes. I would love to, old man. When are we going then? Naruto let out an excited cheer, his earlier anger at his lazy colleague completely forgotten. We'll be heading out early in the morning tomorrow, so try not to oversleep. Don't worry, I won't. Naruto grinned as he waved off the concern. Though, after a few seconds, his face-splitting grin disappeared from his face and a curious expression took over. What about the restaurant then? And what about Mia and Layla? Are they going to be working while we are away? Mia was the restaurant receptionist and Layla was a waiter beside Naruto. The restaurant would be closed for a week and you don't have to worry about those two. I have already given them a week's holiday as well and had even given them tickets to the Akane resort. Damn you. Old man. You shouldn't be cursing your boss like that. Naru-chan. Go to hell. And stop calling me that. Line break. The next morning Naruto and Yujima got into a train and headed toward the beautiful city of Crocus. And after a tedious 5-hour-long journey they had finally reached the capital city. Ugh, I hate traveling in those things, Naruto complained as he stretched his legs a little, earning a slight chuckle from Yujima. Even after traveling on those trains a couple of times, he was still not used to the fact that he had to sit in a small compartment for hours in those things. As both of them slowly walked out of the train station, Naruto stood still as he admired the beauty of the capital city. He had never been to Crocus, heck, he had never traveled outside of Harjan Town, other than the 2 times that he had gone to Magnolia Town to visit the 4 idiots. The city was massive. Konoha had nothing on this place. There were merchants everywhere trying to sell their goods to the masses. Street performers littered the streets trying to earn a quick buck. Children were running around the roads playing an assortment of games and just having a good time. The one thing that Naruto noticed more than everything else that was happening around him was the fact that these people looked genuinely happy. It was as if he was back in the streets of Konoha watching as the villagers go about their daily lives. It brought a small smile to Naruto's face. You find it impressive, don't you? Yujima asked, chuckling at Naruto's wide-eyed expression. Seeing Naruto slowly nod at his question without even at him, he amusedly stated, if you think that this is impressive, then you haven't seen anything yet, just wait till you see the castle and the stadium. And wait, he did as they continued to walk on the crowded street. When the castle came into view, Naruto was amazed. The castle was located in the center of the city and was sealed off from the rest of the city by a large wall. Inside the wall, Naruto could see a rather large garden that made a smaller circle inside of the first outer wall. Past the garden was the main building, which had multiple spires shooting up from the castle. The majority of the castle and the spires were covered in both gold and ivory. The closest thing to this that they had in Konoha was the Hokage building, but that was nothing more than an office building. And when he finally saw the stadium, he could feel his jaw drop a little at the sheer size of the stadium. It was twice as large as the stadium in Konoha. The city will be hosting the Grand Magic Games in this stadium tomorrow. I can't wait. Naruto exclaimed excitedly at the prospect of finally seeing mages fighting with each other. From what the old man had told him, the Grand Magic Game was a tournament that started last year and was sponsored by the King of Fiori. It was supposed to be an annually held tournament which would pit all the legal magic guilds in Fiori against each other to claim the title of the strongest guild in the nation, along with an eye-watering cash prize of 30 million jewels. So, who are you rooting for, old man? Naruto asked, though he already what the answer is going to be, as both of them walked toward the hotel that the king had apparently booked for them, since Yujima was one of the announcers of the Grand Magic Games. Of course, I'll be rooting for Fairy Tail. I want to see whether they will be able to perform better than the last tournament. Yujima answered as a matter of fact. Naruto has heard a lot of good things about Fairy Tail from the old man, who was also a former member of the guild. 3 years ago, Fairy Tail was the strongest and the top magic guild in Fiori, but after the sudden death of more than 20 members at the hands of Acnologia, which to Naruto's astonishment and disbelief was a freaking dragon along with its former master, the guild had lost its former glory quite badly. It was now considered one of the weakest guilds in Fiori, and during the first Grand Magic Games, they weren't even able to get past the second round of the tournament. And as his thoughts wandered to the Dragon King that had supposedly killed more than 20 members of the strongest guild, he couldn't help but wonder how he would fare against a dragon without Kurama. Line break. Time skip, 4 days later. 4 days have passed since he arrived in the beautiful city of Crocus, and the Grand Magic Games were finally over, with the title of the strongest guild in Fiori going to the Sabertooth Guild, the previous year's runner-up. Naruto still couldn't believe the things that he had witnessed during the tournament. The powers that some of the mages had were completely magical. Some of the mages in the tournament were quite powerful, though from what he had observed, other than the one bald dude, none of them could have hoped to challenge an S-rank shinobi. They would have been completely massacred. And the most important thing that he noticed was that the mages didn't fight with the intent to kill, which was a far cry from the Chunin exams, where even kids as young as 10 sometimes went in for the killer fight to kill. Though, it didn't surprise him much as he knew that in this world or just Fiori in general, killing a person was banned unless that person happened to be a dark mage. Even then, it was heavily frowned upon by the public and by the law to kill someone. He was truly glad that his excitement and expectations for the tournament didn't end up in disappointment. Though, he was quite disappointed that Fairy Tail was eliminated in the preliminary round itself, which was some kind of a race involving puzzles that the participants had to solve coming in 145th position. And by the expression on Yujima's face who was walking beside him, Naruto was sure that the old man was also quite sad and disappointed by his former guild performance. And Naruto couldn't blame him for that. Even he would be quite sad if not even a single Konoha shinobi could make it to the final round in a Chunin exam. "So old man, aren't you a bit too silent?" Naruto jokingly asked, trying to lighten the mood a little, as the old man hadn't uttered a single word throughout their walk from the hotel to the Crocus train station. It kinda made him concerned a bit, as well Yujima was normally a silent type of guy, the old man was never that silent whenever he was with him. "So I just thinking about certain things, Naru-chan." Yujima sighed and replied to Naruto, making Naruto even more concerned, though he didn't ask any more questions. As both of them finally reached the train station, Naruto went to the ticket counter to get 2 tickets for them to Harjan Town at Yujima's request. When Naruto returned from the counter with the tickets, after a few minutes, he was surprised to notice Yujima talking with a man that Naruto couldn't recognize. The man looked like he was in his late 30s and had quite a slim and muscular build. He had short, straight, slicked back dark blue hair and was sporting some wrinkles on his face and a slight prominent mustache. He was wearing a knee-length white jacket, brown pants, and black boots. "Yo, old man, I'm back." "Oh. Naru-chan, what took you so long?" There was a long line of people in front of the counter, Naruto told the old man and looked at the other man, deciding to introduce himself he moved forward his right hand for a handshake. "Hello, my name is Naruto. I am this old man's caretaker." Naruto shook his hand with the man and introduced himself with a face-splitting grin. "Haha, nice to meet you, Naruto. My name is Mikao. I'm the guild master of Fairy Tail." Mikao laughed a little at the blonde cheeky introduction and introduced himself. "Oh, you are the master of Fairy Tail?" Naruto asked in surprise, ignoring the old man's glare that he was receiving for his caretaker remark. "Yes, I'm the 4th master of Fairy Tail," Mikao nodded his head and replied. Mikao then looked at Yujima and said, "I'm sorry Yujima-san, but I think I'll be on my now. The other members might get concerned about my absence as our train is about to depart in 5 minutes." "No need to apologize. Though like I said, whenever you get the chance do try to visit my restaurant with the Fairy Tail members, okay?" Yujima kindly told Mikao as he shook said man's hand. "Sure, Yujima-san. I'll remember that." Mikao smiled and then looked at Naruto and said, "It was nice meeting you, Naruto, but I'll have to go now. Do take care of Yujima-san, okay?" "It was nice meeting you too, Mikao. And you don't have to worry about the old man, I'll be sure to take good care of him." Naruto grinned and replied to Mikao, ignoring another slight glare from Yujima. "Okay, bye you two. Take care." Mikao waved at both of them and started heading toward his train. "You too, Mikao." "Bye, Mikao-kun." As Naruto and Yujima watched the retreating figure of Mikao, both of them had varied expressions on their faces. One was smiling while the other was frowning a little. "What were you two talking about, old man?" Naruto curiously asked Yujima as he saw Mikao finally disappear from his view. "Nothing much. I'll tell you later." Yujima responded, making Naruto even more curious. Though he decided to not push for answers, even with his curiosity, as it was not really his business, and simply decided to head to their train. Line break. 5 hours later. Naruto and Yujima had finally reached Harjan Town after another tedious 5 hours long journey by train. Both of them were standing outside of the train station now. It was 7 p.m. and both of them were tired and couldn't wait to go back to their house and rest. However, one of them had another plan. "Well, I'll see you tomorrow, old man, good night," Naruto told Yujima tiredly and started to slowly walk toward his apartment. Wait, Naru-chan. Naruto turned toward Yujima tiredly and asked, what is it now, old man? I'm really exhausted, you know. I know, Yujima sighed knowingly, as he too was fully exhausted by the journey. Though, he needed to discuss something with Naruto, urgently. But I need to discuss something important with you, right now. Really? Can't we discuss it tomorrow? No, I've been thinking about it for a long time. I wanted to have that discussion with you after a few months. But certain things that I have recently witnessed had made it obvious that I couldn't hold it any longer. Naruto raised his eyebrow a little, as he could hear the serious tone in Yujima's voice, and decided to hear him out. As he had never seen the old man so serious and guessed whatever the matter of discussion was could be really important. Alright, old man. I'm all ears, what do you want to discuss with me? It might take a bit long, so can you teleport us to the restaurant? Didn't you hate traveling through my Hirishin? Yes, but I don't want to walk right now, Yujima replied to the question. He did indeed hate traveling through Naruto's Hirishin, as it made him feel nauseous. Sure. Naruto agreed, bowing down a little to grab the old man's shoulder. Though he paused for a second and let out a sigh of irritation, you know old man, if it was so important, I could have directly teleported both of us to the restaurant from Crocus, and we might not have to travel 5 long hours on the train. Well, I didn't think about that. Yujima nervously laughed as he did indeed forget about that fact. The only reason they had decided to travel by train and not simply teleport was because of his body reaction to Naruto's Hirishin. Sigh whatever. Just hold your stomach tight. Naruto sighed and advised Yujima as both of them flashed away from the spot in an orange flash. Line break. Inside the 8 islands. Blurg. The moment Naruto and Yujima were transported inside the closed restaurant, the latter crumbled to the floor and started vomiting all of his meal on the wooden floor. There. You big old baby. Naruto sighed, patting the old man on the back and summoned a shadow clone without doing a hand sign, who directly went into the kitchen to bring a bottle of water. I hate you, Naruto. Yujima groaned as he finally stopped vomiting and felt his body feeling a bit better. He then took the water bottle that the shadow clone had brought him who dispelled himself after his order was done and started drinking it. You should at least clean your mouth first with the water, old man, Naruto told Yujima, a bit grossed out. Yujima ignored Naruto's words and continued to drink the water. Phew, now I feel a bit better. Yujima sighed in relief and looked at Naruto. Now this is taken care of, how about we start with our discussion? Naruto nodded and both of them sat on one of the empty tables in the restaurant. So, what did you want to discuss with me, old man? Naruto curiously asked, really wanting to know what had made the old man so heated up that he even willingly asked to travel by Hirishin. It's about you joining a magic guild, Naru-chan, Yujima stated, looking at Naruto seriously. You have been thinking about joining a guild, weren't you? Yeah, I did think about joining one. Naruto nodded and replied, as he did indeed think about joining a magic guild, and Yujima had known that fact for a while. While he loved working in the restaurant, even if he had to do multiple jobs at once with his clones, he was getting really bored doing the same thing day by day. The reason he had yet to join one was that he couldn't decide which guild to join, and the thought of having too much attention on him, more specifically on his unique magic, by the Magic Council if he joined a guild. Which he really wanted to avoid at all costs. Well, Naru-chan. I want to request you to do something for me, then. You can decline if you want, but please give it some thought before you give me your answer, okay? You want me to join Fairy Tail, don't you? Naruto questioned and smirked when he saw the old man's surprised expression. How did you know I was going to request you to join Fairy Tail? Yujima asked, completely surprised that Naruto had guessed what his request was. Well, it was not really hard to guess, Naruto shrugged and continued, you've been pretty silent and looked like you were in deep thought right after the Grand Magic Games. Especially on the day of the first round, and you've been singing praises about Fairy Tail past glories to me for quite a while now. Sighed, you guessed it right, Naru-chan, Yujima sighed and slightly chuckled at being caught, I do want you to join Fairy Tail. Okay, I will join Fairy Tail. Huh? Just like that? Yujima asked in surprise at his request being accepted by Naruto so quickly. He had thought that Naruto would have asked him multiple questions regarding his request, owing to Naruto's curious nature. You don't have any questions about why I want you to join Fairy Tail? Old man, I owe you a lot for everything that you have done for me. Naruto smiled at Yujima and continued, the least I can do for you is to join the guild which you seem to deeply care about. Besides, I feel like it will be quite fun to join a guild. Thank you, Naru-chan, for accepting my request. Yujima gratefully thanked Naruto with a smile and continued, though, even if you haven't asked me my reasons for requesting you to join Fairy Tail, I would like to tell you my reasons for requesting you that. Okay, I was also kinda curious to know that. Naruto sheepishly replied as he indeed was very curious behind the request, but he thought it would be rude and ungrateful to ask the old man about the request. Since the old man had done so much for him without ever asking anything in return. Granted, the old man did make him do multiple jobs at once, but that's beside the point. You see, I knew that Fairy Tail had been going through a really rough time for the last 3 years, with the death of Makarov and more than 20 of its strongest members. It was indeed inevitable that Fairy Tail would become weak in terms of strength. But I didn't think that their situation would be so dire. Yujima sighed sadly and continued with his explanation. From the conversation that I had with Mikao-kun, I was able to realize the dire situation that they were in. The members of Fairy Tail seemed to have completely lost their spirit and their will to fight and move forward. More than 50 members have left the guild in just 3 years, and the remaining members were also losing hope of ever reviving the guild into its former glory. The guild also is massively in debt, and with the lack of high-paying quests, the debt is increasing day by day. As Naruto heard the explanation, he couldn't help but feel sad and pity at the condition of the guild. They were indeed going through a lot, though he wondered the purpose of him joining the guild. "And that's where you come in, Naru-chan," Yujima said, looking at the confused Naruto. "You are a very strong man, Naruto, and I want you to join Fairy Tail to protect them. With your positive influence, you could raise the members' spirit and will to fight and if possible, try to guide them and make them strong. With your strength alone, Fairy Tail might gain back some of its lost glory." "Sigh, that's quite a lot of responsibilities you are putting on my shoulder, old man." Naruto sighed, messaging his head a little. "You do know that I can't protect them or stay with them for long, right?" "Yes, I know that, Naruto. However, you still have about 4 to 5 years before your friend finally recovers, don't you?" Yujima asked Naruto, as he was the only one in this world who knew about Naruto's origin. At first, he was surprised to know that Naruto was from another world, but he believed it since his former teammate was from a different dimension as well. He was really glad that Naruto had trusted him enough to tell him that secret. But that was a story for another time. "Yes." Naruto nodded his head and replied in confirmation. "You still have a lot of time to bring positive changes to the guild, then," Yujima told Naruto, getting a nod of agreement. "However, try not to get in trouble with the Magic Council, okay? And if anyone asks you about your magic, just give them the same explanation that I advised you to give." "Sure, I'll remember that." Naruto grinned, giving a nice guy pose. "So, when should I be leaving for Magnolia?" "How about the day after tomorrow?" "Alright. I think I'll be able to handle all my business here in a day, though you have to take care of my apartment." Naruto thought for a second and told Yujima. "Okay, I'll do that. Just remember to say goodbye to Mia, Layla, and Steven. I would never dare to forget that." Line break. Magnolia Town. 2 days later, Naruto was finally in Magnolia Town. Having said goodbye to Steven, Mia, and Layla, promising to visit them from time to time. He even received goodbye kisses on the cheek from the 2 girls. He had been in this town 2 times in the past to visit the 4 idiots who were running a pretty successful restaurant called Raftel. But have never gotten the time to tour the whole town. Now, Naruto was standing in front of the said restaurant, which had a huge closed sign in front of the door. He was wearing the same orange shirt and black jeans, with black combat boots and his forehead protector tied on his forehead. However, he was also now wearing a simple black jacket with an orange zipper over his shirt, as the weather was getting colder due to it being the month of November. Naruto was hoping to meet the 4 idiots first and say hello, but it seems they were out of town. So letting out a sigh, he walked towards the location where the old man had told him the Fairy Tail building was. The old man had told him that he wouldn't miss the guild building, as there was a large Fairy Tail sign on top of the building, but it seems that the old man might have been lying to him. As he couldn't see any building with the Fairy Tail name on it in the location. Did that old man prank me or something? Naruto groaned, annoyed with the fact that he was not able to find the Fairy Tail building, where the old had said it was. Deciding to simply ask someone for the direction, he approached a man who was walking past by him. The man's appearance was weird, to say the least, with some sort of Oni theme going on with his dress code. But, Naruto decided to simply ignore it, as he had seen much weirder appearances and dressing styles in the past. "Excuse me, can you tell me where I can find the Fairy Tail Guild building?" Naruto asked the man, who turned and looked at Naruto with an annoyed expression. "Why do you want to know that?" The man glared at Naruto, trying to look as intimidating as possible, which only served to make Naruto amused at the man's poor attempt to intimidate him. "I was thinking of joining Fairy Tail, but I can't seem to find their guild building," Naruto told the man, and his eyes narrowed a little at the man when he felt the man's emotion rise a little at the mention of Fairy Tail. "Oh, you want to join Fairy Tail?" The man grinned at Naruto, folding his arms together. "Why don't you follow me then? I'll show you the Fairy Tail Guild." "You don't need to do that," Naruto said, as he felt that the man was planning something. "Just point me in the direction of their building, and I'll be on my way." No, no, can't do that. The man smirked and put his right hand on Naruto's shoulder. Follow me, or else I'll have to force you. Okay, if you insist then. Naruto thought for a bit and agreed to the offer, feeling amused when he saw the man grin, thinking that he got intimidated by the threat of being forced to follow him. Yeah, right. Naruto knew that the man was planning something and he could tell the man's intentions toward him were not good at all. However, he wanted to know what problem the man had with Fairy Tail. So, he decided to just follow him to deal with that problem. After walking for a bit, the man led Naruto in front of a massive gate that was richly decorated with ornaments. In front of the gate, there was a large building decorated with a pair of giant horns and a number of spikes on the roof, waving a flag with the same symbol that he noticed was on the man's forearm. On the spikes, he also noticed a name carved into them: Twilight Ogre. It seems like this is a magic guild. I didn't know that Magnolia had another guild besides Fairy Tail. Naruto mused as he looked at the impressive building. Our guild building is impressive, isn't it? The man proudly grinned, seeing the impressed look on Naruto's face. Yes, it is indeed impressive. Naruto agreed and looked at the grinning man, though I don't understand why you brought me to your guild. Didn't you tell me that you are going to lead me to Fairy Tail? Yes, I did tell you that, didn't I? The man laughed and continued, don't worry, I'll direct you to the Fairy Tail guild build. But first, I wanted to show you how impressive our guild was. And thank you for showing your guild, it is indeed impressive. But can you now lead me to Fairy Tail? Naruto asked the man with a blank expression, already knowing that the man had no intention of leading him to the Fairy Tail guild building. Why are you in a hurry so much? Let's get inside the building first. The inside of the building is even more impressive than the outside. Come on. The man grinned, walking toward the door of the building, followed by a very annoyed Naruto. The man then opened the large wooden doors of the building and led Naruto inside the building. When Naruto entered the guild hall, he couldn't help but be impressed by the several ornaments decorating the large hall. That man wasn't lying when he was saying that the inside of the building was much more impressive than the outside. He could see more than 50 men lounging around the hall wearing the same Oni-themed dresses as the man that had led him here, drinking and laughing as they chatter among themselves. All in all, they seemed to like to have some sort of weird fascination with Oni, judging by their appearance and the design of the building. Hey, everyone. Look who I brought here. The man yelled as both of them entered the crowded guild hall. All the people inside the hall stopped what they were doing and looked at the man and then at him. Who is that bastard, the Bolt? One of the men sitting near Naruto asked, pointing his finger at Naruto, not noticing the slight twitch in Naruto's eyebrow. This man here, the man who Naruto now knew was named the Bolt, grinned and put his arm around Naruto's shoulder, wants to join Fairy Tail. Hahaha. All the people inside the guild hall laughed like they had heard the funniest joke in their life when the Bolt told them about Naruto's wish to join Fairy Tail. Hahaha, really? Some random guy asked, laughing hard. Yes. The Bolt grinned and nodded his head, his arm still on Naruto's shoulder. Who would like to even join that sorry excuse of a guild? Yay. They are the weakest guild in Fiori. This guy looks weak, so I'm not surprised that he wants to join a weak guild like Fairy Tail. I guess it's true when people say only weak guilds attract weak mages. Look, his arms are shaking, haha, he is scared. No wonder he wants to join Fairy Tail. He wants to feel at home with those weak mages. Naruto's arms were indeed shaking, but not for the reason those people were thinking of. He was really getting annoyed and even a little angry at the insulting words thrown at him and Fairy Tail. He wasn't going to let some idiots insult the guild that old man Yajima cared about. Enough. But before Naruto could say anything, a loud voice shut down all the laughter inside the hall. Naruto looked at the source of the voice and noticed a man coming down the stairs from the second floor. The man was a middle-aged man, having a shaved face with a haircut resembling a military one. He had a broad jaw, wide lips, and a thick nose. His thin eyebrows reach up into his hair and he was wearing tinted glasses. He was wearing a yellow-green pinstripe suit and pants with a purple cape over the outfit that had a button with the same logo that Naruto had seen outside the guild, and he was smoking a large cigar. What's with all the commotion here? Can't you let me sleep for even a minute? The man complained, taking a huge puff from his cigar. Master? We are sorry. So that guy is the master of this guild. Naruto carefully looked at the man as everyone bowed and apologized to the man. And who is that kid? The guild master asked, pointing his finger at Naruto. Naruto slightly twitched at being called a kid but decided not to act on it. Master, the Bolt grinned, his arms pulling Naruto a bit closer to him and said, this kid here wants to join Fairy Tail. The chorus of laughter again erupted inside the guild hall. Oh? The master grinned and took a good look at Naruto, you want to join that weak guild? Yes, Naruto replied in annoyance, roughly lifting the Bolt's arm from his shoulder and then turned around, and if you guys are just going to laugh around, then I'll be taking my leave. Honestly, Naruto wanted to beat them all up for laughing at him and Fairy Tail, But Ujima had told him to avoid fighting with other mages of different legal guilds as it might draw unnecessary attention to him. Now, what's the hurry? The guildmaster asked, you can't just leave like that. If you are going to join Fairy Tail, then you would have to pay us some of the money that they owe us, and I know, they are going to accept you into their guild, as they seem to accept anyone into their weak guild. What kind of nonsense is that? Naruto glared at the master, annoyed by such a ridiculous demand. I have still not joined them yet, and even if they owe money to you, you can't harass or bully them like that. Oh, what a terrifying glare. The master mocked, eliciting laughter from the other guild members. He then glared at Naruto and grinned wickedly, how dare you tell me how to act, you weak brat. Those weak fairies owe my guild a lot of money. They only managed to survive this long because of my kindness. So, until they pay me every single jewel, I'm going to harass them and act however I want. You're such a scumbag. Naruto scowled at the master and slightly narrowed his eyes when he saw the guild members slowly grabbing their weapons and standing up from their seats. You dare call me a scumbag? The master yelled angrily and pointed his finger at Naruto, roughen up this weak fairy tale bastard. Show them why he should cower before the might of Twilight Ogre. At that bastard. Yeah. Ah shit. My first day in Magnolia and I've already seemed to get myself into trouble. Whatever, I was going to beat these guys one day anyway. Naruto thought inside as he saw all of the people now grinning at him with all sorts of weapons in their hands. He then saw the closest person to him, the Bolt, unclasping his kanabo from behind him. How cute, they think they can beat me. Any last word before we beat you up, fairy scum? The Bolt grinned and mockingly asked. Yes, Naruto's eyes twinkled a little and smiled at the Bolt, all of you are going to need a doctor after this. Before the Bolt could even finish his retort his world erupted in pain and then darkness. Line break. 3 minutes later. Inside the guild hall of Twilight Ogre, numerous human bodies lay on the cold wooden floor. All of them were completely knocked out and it looked like they were sleeping, however, that was not the case. What happened? Someone groaned in pain and asked in confusion. He slowly pushed himself off the ground and his eyes widened in shock when he saw all of his fellow members and even the master were on the ground, completely knocked out. He also saw numerous chairs and tables broken and strewn on the floor. I beat the shit out of you. That's what happened. The man shivered in fright when he heard the all too familiar voice beside him, now remembering what had happened in those few seconds. He slowly turned his head toward the voice and saw the man responsible for their current condition. He remembered the man knocking each of them out before they could even react or fight back. That man was too fast. 1 second he was near the entrance of the guild and before they knew he was in front of their faces and punching the daylights out of them. Even their master didn't fare well, the master was kicked hard in the stomach before he could even react and was thrown behind the bar. Naruto, who was sitting at a table, lazily looked at the man that had just woken up. If he remembered correctly, that man was the second guy he had knocked out with a punch. You cheated. The man shakily pointed his finger at Naruto and exclaimed. Hey, how did I cheated? You didn't even let us use our magic spells. What kind of an idiot would wait for his enemies to prepare their spell? Well. Naruto sighed as he looked at the sputtering man and stood up from the table that he was sitting on. He then walked toward the man and grabbed the man's shoulder, prompting the man to flinch a little in fear. Now, care to tell me where the Fairy Tail Guild building is? What? The man looked at Naruto, a bit confused by the question for a second, and stuttered out a reply, oh, yeah the Fairy Tail Guild building is at the top of the northern hill. Their building is a small tavern, you wouldn't miss it. That was easy, isn't it? Naruto stood up, still looking at the man who slowly nodded his head at his question. If you guys had just told me their location, instead of trying to bully me, you all wouldn't have been in this situation. Without waiting for an answer, Naruto slowly walked toward the entrance. After walking out of the guild, he let out a silent curse when he saw many people curiously looking at him and the guild building. He could hear them murmur about him beating the whole guild, and he even heard some exaggerating his actions a bit too much for his liking. So, much for trying to avoid attention. He sighed and decided to ignore those murmuring and simply head toward the hill where he now knew the Fairy Tail Guild building was. After walking for about 10 minutes and climbing through some stone staircases, he finally saw the guild building that he was looking for. It was indeed a small tavern, with its walls mainly composed of bricks bearing visible cracks here and there. In front of the building's wooden doors was a large archway composed of massive beams. Halfway up its length was a pyramidal sign with Fairy Tail's name on it, with very long edges going past the beams holding it up, topped and paired with a large symbol, which Naruto knew was the Fairy Tail's guild symbol, having seen it on Yajima's shoulder. Naruto then slowly walked toward the wooden door and raised his hand to knock on it. It was around 2 p.m. when Naruto had finally reached the Fairy Tail Guild building. He was now standing in front of the Fairy Tail Guild building, contemplating whether he should just enter the building or knock on the wooden door like a civilized person. After a few seconds, he decided to take the safe bet and knock, as he wanted to give a good first impression to the guild members, and it would be embarrassing to be rejected just because he was rude. Knock knock. As Naruto knocked on the door, he could hear a lot of commotion from inside the building, someone yelling at someone to get the door, and mutterings of showing no respect, and after a few seconds, Naruto saw a very familiar face opening the door for him with an annoyed look on his face. "Yo, Mikao." Naruto greeted, smiling at Mikao, whose annoyed expression was replaced by a look of surprise as he saw who was in front of their guild door. "Naruto." Mikao exclaimed in surprise, "It's good to see you again." "The feeling is mutual, Mikao." Naruto said and shook the older man's hand. Mind if I come inside?" "Oh, where's my manner?" Mikao sheepishly smiled. Come inside." "Thank you." Naruto chuckled at the older man's sheepish look and entered the building. Compared to the overly decorated interior of the Twilight Ogre Guild Hall, the Fairy Tail Guild Hall was quite modest and highly resembled a small restaurant or pub. Instead, the room possesses a stone floor and several small round tables are scattered across it, paired with some chairs. On the right side of the room is a bar counter, complete with a sink and several bottles, which has a wooden platform in front of it, with some more tables and chairs sitting on it, plus some round bar stools by the counter. Behind it, there was a staircase with its landing sitting on the only structure of bricks in the inner part of the building, a massive rectangular column. Naruto also noticed that there were 5 other occupants inside the guild hall, and they all seemed to be staring at him with a curious look on their faces. He then quickly scanned the room with his eyes, observing their appearances. One of the first occupants that he observed was a sweet-looking girl who was behind the counter manning the bar. She had violet-colored hair and green eyes, with a round face. She was wearing a light green dress sporting white and green laces with an additional green bow on its chest. She also had a light green ribbon tied to her hair. The next person was a middle-aged man with brown hair and a slightly receding hairline. He also had some wrinkles on his face like Mikao and a slightly thick beard on his chin. He was sitting on one of the bar stools on the right and had a glass of beer in his left hand, looking at him with his semi-opened eyes. Naruto then turned his attention to the girl that was sitting next to the bearded guy. She had pale lavender hair set in a bow-like style, with her fringe covering the left part of her forehead and the right side exposed. She had a dark-colored ribbon adorning the top of her head and was wearing a pair of simple glasses with oval lenses. The other occupant was sitting on one of the chairs that were paired with a round table. He had short black spiky hair and he had a pair of earrings composed of small green tassels hanging from both of his ears. Naruto then directed his attention to the last person in the hall, who was sitting at the same table that the earring guy was sitting at. The person was a young kid with short dark purple hair and was wearing a white t-shirt with the Fairy Tail Guild symbol. "Naruto?" "But what?" Naruto's body shook in surprise, stumbling back a little when Mikao's face suddenly appeared in front of his face and saw that the older man was now looking at him in concern. He could also hear the other occupants chuckling at his surprised expression. "Are you alright? You seem to have been lost in your thoughts for a couple of seconds there." Naruto sheepishly scratched the back of his head when he realized that he had been standing in front of the guild entrance for more than half a minute, completely losing his focus due to his observation. Mikao quirked his eyebrows a little. "Is the guild hall not up to your expectations?" he jokingly asked. No, it's nothing like that," Naruto said in a hurry, sweating a little and hoping that Mikao had not misunderstood him. Mikao laughed at Naruto's expense along with the other guild members. "I was just joking, Naruto," he said to the sweating blonde and then put his arm around Naruto's shoulder, who took a calming breath of relief as he realized that the older man was just joking. "Don't just stand here, come on, have a seat," Mikao told Naruto and led the relieved blonde in front of the counter and offered him a bar stool. "Would you like a drink?" Mikao asked as both of them sat on the bar stools. "The glass of beer would be nice," Naruto requested. He didn't really like to drink much, but after the events of the day, he really needed some alcohol in his system. "Hinata-chan, please bring Naruto here a cold glass of beer," Mikao kindly told the girl that was manning the counter, who nodded and quickly poured a glass of beer for Naruto from a keg. "Here, Naruto-san." Kanana smiled and placed the glass of beer in front of Naruto. "Thank you, and no need to use honorifics, just Naruto will be fine." Naruto thanked the smiling girl named Kanana, who nodded at his words. He then took a huge gulp of beer from the glass and let out a sigh of satisfaction. "Boy, Mikao. Who is this kid? At least introduce us to him, you idiot." Naruto turned his attention to the person who had just called the guild master an idiot, and he noticed that it was the man with a receding hairline. "Wakaba, how many times do I have to tell you to call me master?" Mikao asked with a twitching eyebrow, annoyed by his friend's lack of respect for him as a guild master. "Like hell, I ain't ever calling you master." The man who now Naruto knew was named Wakaba jeered at his longtime friend, playfully. "Whatever." Mikao sighed tiredly at his friend's attitude and faced the other occupants in the hall. Everyone, this is Naruto. He works in Yujima-sen's restaurant and he is apparently Yujima-sen's caretaker as well. Now introduce yourself back to him. Naruto slightly chuckled when Mikao introduced him as the old man's caretaker and waved his hand at the other guild members. Hello guys, it's nice to meet you all. Nice to meet you too, kid. You can call me Wakaba. The guy with the receding hairline kindly smiled at Naruto and introduced himself. Though Naruto already knew what the guy's name was. Hello Naruto. My name is Lucky. The girl with the glasses introduced herself while adjusting her glasses a bit. Nice to meet you Naruto. My name is Kanana. Kanana gave a bright smile and introduced herself. Though Naruto already knew her name as well. My name is Alzak and it's nice to meet you. The guy with the earring introduced himself giving a slight bow of his head. Hello, big brother Naruto. My name is Romeo. The youngest occupant in the room slightly smiled and introduced himself to Naruto, who grinned at being called big brother. That kid was his favorite person in the guild so far. Now that we are done with the introductions, Mikao began as he curiously looked at Naruto. If you don't mind me asking, is there any reason for your sudden visit to our? I'm here as I wanted to join Fairy Tail. Naruto blankly said before Mikao could even finish his question. After he said that there was pin-drop silence in the room for a few seconds and he could see everyone staring at him with wide eyes as if he had said something blasphemous. What's with those looks? Naruto asked looking at everyone, confused by the looks that he was receiving from them. We were just surprised a little by what you said. Mikao sheepishly chuckled and saw that his guild members also looked slightly embarrassed for their overreaction. We haven't had anyone come to our guild wanting to join us in the past 3 years. So, for us to finally have someone wanting to join our guild after so long was a bit shocking for us. Though, I would like to apologize for our overreaction. Naruto let out a small laugh at Mikao's explanation and waved off the apology. He then asked, can I join then? Do I need to pass some kind of test for me to join? No, you don't have to pass any kind of test to join Fairy Tail, it has never been Fairy Tail style and never will be. Mikao clarified, prompting Naruto to take a slight breath of relief for not having to undergo any test. Anyone can join Fairy Tail if they want, the only requirement is that the person should know how to use magic. That's good to know. Naruto smiled. So, can you use magic? The guildmaster asked, though he already knew the answer as Yujima-sen didn't hire anyone in his restaurant who didn't know how to use magic. Yes, I can use magic. Naruto grinned and replied. Then welcome to Fairy Tail. Mikao cheered as the other members joined in. It's been so long since we had a new member, Lucky said still in shock that they had just gotten a new guild member after more than 3 years of not having any new member in the guild. Yes, it has indeed been a long time. I just wish that the other member were also here, we could have all celebrated together welcoming Naruto to the guild. Wakaba said and took a huge gulp of beer from his glass in joy. Hinata-chan, please give Naruto his new guild mark. Mikao smiled at the sweet girl, who happily nodded her head and went behind the bar to bring the guild stamp. After a few seconds, Kanana came back with the guild stamp and looked at Naruto, who was being forced by Mikao and Wakaba to drink another glass of beer in celebration. Naruto, where would you like your guild mark and in what color? Kanana smiled and asked. Naruto, knowing what Kanana had meant, brought his left hand forward, at the back of my hand in an orange. He grinned as Kanana stamped the guild mark on his hand. Welcome to Fairy Tail, Naruto. Kanana lightly smiled and said. Thank you, he thanked the smiling girl and examined the new addition that he now had on the back of his hand. It looked cool. Everyone, the other members may not be here today, but let us all raise a toast welcoming our new comrade. Mikao cheered, raising a glass of beer in the air, the other guild members doing the same, of course, not including the young Romeo who just cheered excitedly. Big brother Naruto, welcome to Fairy Tail. Romeo exclaimed happily. Thank you Romeo. Naruto smiled at the kid's enthusiastic welcome. Welcome to Fairy Tail, Naruto. Alzak welcomed Naruto, earning a thank you from the blonde. Welcome to Fairy Tail. Lucky welcomed the blonde excitedly, who smiled and thanked the excited girl. Welcome to Fairy Tail, kid. Wakaba welcomed Naruto, who twitched at being referred to as kid but otherwise just thanked the almost drunk-looking man. Line break. After a few minutes, the excitement in the hall died down a little as the few Fairy Tail members that were present inside the building started asking questions to Naruto, wanting to know their new comrade a bit more. So, Naruto, Mikao was the first person to speak and ask Naruto some questions which he knew were going through the minds of the other members as well. Why did you decide to join us? Not that we are not happy or anything. Well, Naruto thought for a few moments, wondering whether he should tell them the real reason, but decided against it. I was just bored with doing nothing. He cringed at his own answer and cursed himself. Even though his boredom was also one of the reasons, but it was pretty stupid of him to say that. All the other members sweat-dropped at Naruto's answer, he was just bored. They all simultaneously thought in disbelief. Oh, you were, just bored? Mikao asked, composing himself. Yeah, deciding to just roll with the answer that he had given. Naruto continued, I was bored all day just serving tables in the restaurant, so I wanted to join a guild to hopefully stave off my boredom, and when I asked the old man to recommend me a guild to join, he recommended Fairy Tail. That's great. Yeah. Great. Mikao said, trying his best to smile and not face fault. What was he even expecting? And as he slightly glanced at the other members, he knew that they were also thinking the same thing. Feeling the atmosphere in the hall getting increasingly awkward due to his stupid response, Naruto decided to quickly change the topic and asked, by the way, are there only 6 members in the guild? Mikao shook his negatively and replied, no, there are 15 members in our guild, but some of them are out on jobs, while the others went back home early due to the lack of good job requests. Oh, good, I thought there were only 6 members in the guild, Naruto said, and sheepishly laughed as he saw the members getting depressed at his response. Big brother Naruto, Romeo composed himself first and nervously asked, can I ask you a question? Sure, go ahead. Naruto smiled, seeing the kid nervously look at him. What kind of magic do you use? All the members also composed themselves and looked at Naruto, waiting for his answer. They were also very curious about the kind of magic their newest recruit used. Naruto, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. Everyone here is allowed to keep their magic a secret if they want. Mikao told Naruto, as he didn't want to pressure the blonde by putting him on the spot. No, it's alright. Naruto smiled and waved off Mikao's concern, since you guys are now my guildmates, I see no problem in telling you all about my magic. If you say so. Mikao nodded. Though, since I'm revealing to you guys my magic, I would also like to know what kind of magic you all use. That's acceptable. The guildmaster agreed. The other members also smiled and nodded their heads in acceptance of Naruto's request. First, I don't use magic. What do you mean you don't use magic, Naruto? Didn't you just say that you use magic? Laki asked, confused by Naruto's words, and judging by the expression of the other members, they were as confused as she was. Did they just let a person with no magic join their guild? No, it's nothing like that, Laki-chan. Naruto grinned mischievously at the confused girl, who slightly raised her eyebrow as she heard the blonde suddenly adding the chan honorific to her name. I don't use magic. I use magics. Magics? It is not even a word. They all thought, confused by the word. However, after a few seconds, their eyes widened in surprise when they realized what Naruto meant by that. Magics? You mean to say that you use multiple kinds of magic? Wakaba asked in surprise, not believing what Naruto had just said. While it was not impossible to learn different forms of magic, it was however surprising to know that someone so young knew how to use multiple magic. Yes, I use multiple kinds of magic, Naruto repeated his previous statement, enjoying the surprised look of the other members. So can you show us some of them then? Romeo excitedly asked, he had never felt so excited in 3 years. If Naruto knew different kinds of magic, it meant that he was a strong mage, something which their guild lacked at the moment. Not that the current members were weak by any means, but compared to other guilds they were weak, mostly due to their lack of will and faith in their own strength. Well, the first magic that I use is clone magic. The second is rune magic. The third is a type of strength enhancement magic. The fourth. And as Naruto listed some of his jutsu that he knew as magic, of course, he didn't list all of them. The occupants in the hall stared at with him wide eyes, their jaws hung open in shock as they heard the insane number of magic their newly recruited member knew. Line break. The next morning. After locking his newly rented apartment door, which he was able to find with the help of Mikao yesterday, Naruto started heading toward the Fairy Tail Guild building, walking on the cobbled stone path while whistling a jovial tone. His new apartment was a very simple and cheap one. It only had a single bedroom, a common room, a bathroom with a toilet attached to it, and a small kitchen. Which he didn't think he was going to use much anyway. The apartment was just some 500 meters away from his newly joined guild. The monthly rent was just 50,000 jewels per month, and it was well furnished as well. Which he thought was quite cheap and affordable compared to the rent prices in Harjan Town. However, even if was able to rent the apartment at a fair price, due to the apartment owner being a close friend of Mikao, he was now in a very bad situation financially. He wasn't broke like a year ago or anything, but he would be if he didn't do any mission requests soon. As he only had about 30,000 jewels in his account, which was enough to survive for a month, but now that he was in a guild, he could be going on different missions or jobs as the mages call it, and knowing how bad his luck was on missions, he would have to prepare and order at least a dozen of tri-pronged kunai just be on the safe side, as he only had 3 of them with him now. This means that he would need quite a lot of jewels, as his special kunai weren't cheap at all. Since no one in this world had ever seen or used such kind of weapon, he would have to make a special order to the blacksmith in Harjan town whom he knew, and last time it had cost him 10,000 jewels just for a single kunai. On top of that, he also needed jewels for some good quality brushes and ink to write the Hirashin seals into the kunai and on his palm to mark individuals. He also needed to buy some good quality papers and scrolls for his other sealing jutsu as well. I should have taken those jewels when the old man was offering me. His previous jovial whistling all gone, Naruto cursed at his lack of foresight and dignity for rejecting the 200,000 jewels that the old man had offered him when he was leaving for Magnolia Town. Noticing that some of the town folk who were walking on the same path as him now looking at him weirdly for talking to himself so loudly in the middle of the road. Naruto blushed bright red in embarrassment and sheepishly apologized to them for being loud. After that Naruto hurriedly ran to the guild to save himself from further embarrassment. Line break. Fairy Tail Guild Building. When Naruto entered the guild building he was expecting to see some new faces, but to his disappointment, there were only 3 guild members inside the building whom he already knew or had met yesterday. The 3 members were Kanana, Romeo, and the guild master Mikao. None of them seemed to have noticed his arrival. Kanana and Romeo seemed to be preparing the counter and the bar for the day, while Mikao was looking at some posters which Naruto knew were job request posters. "Good morning, guys." Naruto greeted them cheerfully as he walked to the counter. "Oh, Naruto. Good morning." Kanana smiled when she saw Naruto heading toward the counter and greeted back at the blonde. "Good morning, big brother Naruto." Romeo stopped cleaning the counter and cheerfully greeted the blonde. "Good morning, Naruto." Mikao greeted as he took his eyes off the posters that he was reading and looked at the cheerful Naruto. "Where are the other members? It's already 7:30 a.m. Naruto asked Mikao curiously as he sat on a bar stool. Most of them won't be here until 8:30 a.m. Mikao sheepishly replied and explained, "We don't really get many job requests as we used to, so most of the members rarely show up to the guild early." "But aren't those job posters?" Naruto pointed at the posters that Mikao was holding in his hand. "I can see there are more than 20 posters in your hand." "Yes, these are indeed job posters, but most of them are just D-rank job requests, requested by the town folks in Magnolia, and no one likes to take them as they are too tedious with very low pay," Mikao replied. "I guess I already know what I'll be doing today then." Naruto grinned and asked Mikao to hand him the posters. "You really want to do D-rank jobs?" Mikao asked, confused by Naruto's decision. He assumed that since the blonde looked so strong just based on the insane number of magic that he knew, Mikao was expecting the blonde to look for at least C rank or B rank jobs. Though, he wasn't going to send Naruto on a B rank job right off the bat, not including the fact that they didn't have a single B rank job request. "Yup." Naruto said, "I really need some jewels now, and if the other members don't like taking those D rank jobs, I would like to take some of them today." "Okay, then." Mikao relented and handed some of the job posters to Naruto. "Just read the job description and pick the one that you would like to do." Naruto carefully skimmed through the job posters and realized that Mikao wasn't exaggerating when he said that the D-rank jobs were tedious with less pay. Some of these jobs were simple, but others reminded him of the D-rank missions that he did when he was a rookie genin. Master, Naruto corrected himself as he remembered that yesterday when he had gone with Mikao to search for an apartment, the older guy was quite adamant that he be referred to as master. Can a person take multiple job requests at once? Yes, the master quirked his eyebrow a little, wondering why the blonde was asking that. There are no rules forbidding someone from only taking one job request at a time. "If that's the case then I'll be taking these 7 job requests," Naruto said and handed Mikao the 7 job posters that he had selected while placing the remaining posters on the counter. "Are you sure, Naruto?" Mikao asked in disbelief as someone was willingly taking not 1 but 7 D-rank job requests at once. That was completely insane. Even Kanana and Romeo, who had been listening to their conversation, looked completely dumbfounded. "Yeah, I'm sure. Some of these jobs are paying only about 8,000 jewels, so only doing one at a time would be pretty insignificant to my current financial problem." If you say so." Mikao slowly nodded his head, still not sure about Naruto's request, looked at the jobs that the blonde had picked, and then looked back at the person who was either brave or stupid enough to pick such kind of requests. "Naruto, some of these jobs are going to take a whole day to complete. Are you still confident that you can take them all?" "Yes, I'm confident." "Okay then." Mikao finally relented and handed the 7 job posters to Kanana. Why are you giving those to Kanana?" Naruto asked curiously. Along with looking after the bar, Kanana-chan also handles the job registration process. So if you take a job request from the request board next time, give it to her first and she will register it into the jobs register, which directly notifies the other guilds and the client that the job request has been taken to not cause any confusion. "Wow, that's pretty neat." I'll be sure to remember that. Naruto said and then looked at Kanana, who was now writing something on a register while looking at the job posters that he had picked. That register might have some type of rune magic scripted into it, which enables it to transfer the information written on it to other guilds. Naruto idly thought as he saw Kanana finally finished writing on the register. Here, Naruto. Kanana giggled when she saw Naruto looking at the register in curiosity and handed the job posters back to the blonde. Take these posters with you and show them to the clients as proof that you are the one that had accepted their request, and once you are done with the job they will put their signatures on the poster to prove that you have successfully completed their requested jobs. Oh, thank you Kanana. Naruto grinned and thanked the girl as he greatly appreciated the information that she had just given him. He knew about jobs requests, but he never knew the procedures behind the whole thing. Taking the posters, Naruto stood up deciding to get started with his D-rank jobs, or in his words, missions. I'll be heading off then, guys. Good luck, you are going to need it. Mikao chuckled knowing how bored and tired the blonde was going to be just after one or two of those D-rank jobs. Good luck, Naruto. Good luck, big brother Naruto. The three of them watched Naruto grin and waved his hand as he walked out of the guild hall. Dad, do you think it was a good idea to let him take so many D-rank jobs at once? I don't know, but he is not a normal mage, so I think he will be able to handle it. The three of them chuckled as they could at least agree on the part that Naruto was not a normal mage. They had never heard or seen someone being able to use more than 8 magic, granted he did say that some of them were just skills, but it was still amazing and shocking how a 19-year-old could have so many different magic. They didn't know how strong he was in a fight, but one thing they were certain of was that the blonde was crazy strong, just by his magic alone, and he was someone that their guild had been missing for a long time. Line break. 2 hours later, Fairy Tail Guild building. The Fairy Tail Guild building was full with all 15 members of the guild, 1 employee, and 1 future Fairy Tail member. The members were all doing their usual work, i.e. drinking, reading the Sorcerer magazine, and just looking at the job request board, hoping that there were some B rank or A rank jobs requests on the board. Master, is it true that we have a new member in the guild? A person with beige color hair, styled in a bowl undercut asked looking at the guild master. Hey, where did you hear that, Max? What? Is it true, master? Really? It's been so long. Just like the guild suddenly started getting rowdy in excitement at the prospect of finally having a new member after a long time. Mikao and all the other members that were in the guild yesterday when Naruto had joined smiled as they saw the excitement in the guild hall. Yes, it is indeed true that we have a new member. The guild master informed them and his heart felt happy when he saw the happiness and excitement permeating through everyone. He had been planning to announce to them about Naruto's joining the guild after the blonde was back from the job, but it seems the news had already reached the ear of some of the members. Can you guys please lower your voice a little? You guys are waking up Asuka. A young woman with long, straight green complained annoyed by the loudness of the members. She was holding a small sleeping child in her arms wearing an oversized cowboy hat. Ah, sorry about that, Biska. All of the members loudly apologized as they saw the annoyed expression on the woman's face. Not that loud. Loud crying noise. Ah, sorry darling, go back to sleep, please. All of them watched with sweat drops on their faces as a frantic Biska tried to lull her baby Asuka back to sleep. As little Asuka finally went back to sleep after a few seconds, all of them looked at the master, curious about their new member and his whereabouts. Anyways, master, where is the new member? Max asked. He went out to do some D-rank jobs, since there were dozens of it lying around as you guys don't do any of them, Mikao replied, giving the members a stink eye and prompting them to nervously scratch the back of their heads, avoiding looking at their guild master's eyes. I don't think big brother Naruto will be back till evening though, he had taken 7 D-rank job posters with him, so you all would have to wait if you want to meet him, Romeo grinned and informed the members as he looked up from the magazine that he was reading, starting a commotion among them. So, his name is Naruto. That's a weird name, isn't it? What? 7 D-rank jobs at once. Is he a workaholic or something? I don't think he would be able to complete all of them today. Yes, you are right. By the way, he also took the job request to catch the mayor's wife's cat. Kanana giggled and added some more fuel to the commotion, earning a light glare from the master which she ignored. What? Is he mad? That cat is worse than a devil. Jet, have you ever seen a devil? That's beside the point, Droy. Whoever that Naruto is, he ain't coming back today. Yo, guys, I'm back. Oh, it seems all the members are here today. Naruto entered the guild hall with a prominent grin on his face as he saw that the hall was full of all the members that he hadn't met yesterday. Naruto, why are you here? Weren't you supposed to be doing your job request? Mikao asked, confused by the blonde arrival. Oh, I'm done with all the requests. Naruto grinned, showing the 7 job posters in his hand that had the signatures of the clients. What? Line break. It had taken about 7 minutes for all the commotion in the guild hall to finally come to a halt. There had been a lot of questions thrown at Naruto by the members, wanting to know more about him and his abilities, not forgetting to introduce themselves in return to Naruto. When the members asked him how did he manage to complete 7D rank job requests in just 2 hours, the only answer that they got from him was, "I'm just awesome like that." Which annoyed them to no end. Though, the guild members who had seen Naruto demonstrate some of his magic yesterday had an inkling feeling that it had to do something with his clone magic. Then, when the other members learned that Naruto could use more than 8 magic, the whole guild erupted in shock and excitement. Though, much to their disappointment, Naruto didn't demonstrate any of his magic to them, saying that it was their fault for not being in the guild yesterday. "Master, here's the guild commission," Naruto said, and handed Mikao a small bag containing some jewels, as he had been told yesterday that the guild took 30% of the offered reward for job requests as commission. "Thank you, Naruto." Mikao thanked the blonde with a smile and went to his office to put the money in the guild treasury. "Hinata, do you serve ramen here?" Naruto asked hopefully to the girl as he was kinda starving, just having cereal for breakfast and making dozens of clones was a bad idea. "Yes, I do serve ramen, but you have to wait for a few minutes as I need to reheat the broth a little," Kanana said with her usual smile on her face. "That's great," Naruto beamed, "please give me a bowl, no 2 bowls of miso ramen." "Okay, just wait here for a few minutes. Max-kun, can you please watch the counter for a few minutes?" "Sure, Kanana-chan." Kanana thanked the man and headed to the back kitchen to prepare the ramen for Naruto. Line break. A few minutes later. "Max-kun, where is Naruto?" Kanana asked, trying to find the blonde that had ordered 2 bowls of ramen. She had just finished preparing the ramen, but the blonde was nowhere to be found when she returned to the counter with the ordered food. "Oh, he just went to the toilet, it seemed like he was holding back his needs for a very long time," Max informed the girl, chuckling a little as he remembered the frantic expression on Naruto's face. Bang. All the occupants in the guild hall turned their attention towards the door when someone kicked it open very loudly, and when they saw who it was they all became anxious. "They are back," Lucky groaned. Wakaba sighed and asked out loud, "What do they even want now?" "Yo, fairy pansies. Still looking pathetic as ever, eh?" The Bolt grinned as he and his 4 guild mates entered the Fairy Tail Guild Hall with weapons in their hands, trying to appear as threatening as possible. "The Bolt, why are you here?" Mikao glared at the grinning man as he walked and stood in front of his guild members. "Just as always, it's not even noon yet and you already look so serious," replied what looked like the leader. "That's why you're a puny little guild." The Bolt growled Wakaba as he along with the other members confronted the men. Mikao glared at the men and tried to hold back his anger. Mikao grit his teeth before responding, "I thought I told you not to come anymore." Hey, is it really okay for you to be talking to me like that?" asked the Bolt. "After all, we are the guild that represents Magnolia, Twilight Ogre." "What did you come here for, the Bolt?" asked Mikao. "This month's pay," replied the Bolt as he begun to walk closer to Mako. Mikao's eyes widened at the Bolt's reason. Mikao shouted, "But it isn't due until another 4 days. Our boss wants the money now as we kinda spend over our budget during the Grand Magic Games," replied the Bolt with a devilish grin. Mikao looked down, "We don't have enough money yet, just a few more jobs, and I swear we will get the money. On the day we promised." "Come on now, when you were on the verge of collapse, who was it that came to the rescue of this rundown tavern?" asked one of the Twilight Ogre mages. "We were the ones who stepped in and loaned you the money, weren't we?" asked another. "We wouldn't have accepted it if we knew about the interest you would charge us with," replied a tall orange-haired man who stepped in front of Mikao's guild members. "What did you say?" asked the chubby one of the Twilight Ogre. "Stop it, Jet," ordered Mikao. Mikao looked at the Bolt, "We will pay you the money in 4 days like promised." The Bolt kicked Mikao across the room. The room quickly exploded and all the guild members begun to get hot-headed. Mikao lay on the ground and shouted, "Fairy Tail, stand down." Oi, what's going on here?" All the people in the guild hall halted their actions when they heard someone speak loudly, and as they turned their attention to the owner of the voice, they saw a very familiar figure looking at the Twilight Ogre members with an annoyed expression on his face while slowly drying his hands with a paper towel. When the Twilight Ogre member saw the person that had dared to speak loudly in their presence, their whole face turned pale in fear. As it was the same person who had beat their whole guild in just a few seconds yesterday. "Naruto, stand down. Don't involve yourself in this," Mikao told his newest guild member as he didn't want the blonde to get hurt because of them. "Master, don't worry about me." Naruto waved off the master words and slowly walked in front of the Twilight Ogre members, "I'll handle them." "You, what are you doing here?" The Bolt gulped fearfully and asked the blonde as he and his guild mates grabbed their weapons in their hands tightly. All the Fairy Tail members watched in shock and disbelief as they saw the completely terrified expression on the Twilight Ogre members' faces. They couldn't believe and understand what was going on just a few seconds ago. The Twilight Ogre members were all acting like assholes, and now after they had seen Naruto their faces had turned pale and looked terrified of the blonde. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the Bolt's question and asked, "Didn't I tell you yesterday that I was going to join Fairy Tail?" "Why yes, you did," the Bolt stuttered, "but Master Bannister was sure that someone like you won't join such a weak guild like Fairy Tail." "Well, your master was wrong to assume that as I am now a Fairy Tail mage," Naruto told the terrified guy and asked, "And didn't I warn you guys yesterday to not harass Fairy Tail?" "You didn't say anything like that yesterday," the Bolt gulped, "you just told us that it was wrong to harass people." "Oh? I didn't?" Naruto asked a bit unsure, and as he thought for a bit he realized that he hadn't actually warned those guys to stop harassing Fairy Tail. "It seems you are right. I didn't actually warn you guys yesterday, so I'll be warning you guys now. Stop harassing Fairy Tail and its members. Otherwise, you all are going to be in a lot of pain. Then how are we going to get our money back? This guild owes a lot of money to our guild. We will pay you all of our debts when we get the money. Even if you don't come here to ask for the money, we will come to your guild and pay it. Just stop harassing this guild. Do you understand?" Naruto narrowed his eyes at the Twilight Ogre members, who took a step back and shook in fear as they could see themselves getting beaten up again. "Oh okay, I'll inform Master Bannister about your condition. Can we go now?" "You can go, but first you'll have to apologize to our guild master for kicking him," Naruto told the Twilight Ogre mages, who quickly nodded their head in understanding. "Macau," the Bolt looked at the Fair Tail guild master, gritting his teeth he let out an apology, "I'm really sorry for kicking you, please forgive me." Macau, who had been watching the whole event unfolding in front of his eyes in disbelief, just like all the other Fairy Tail members, didn't know what exactly to say back to the Bolt's apology. I forgive you, the Bolt. And like Naruto had said, just stop harassing us, we will pay your guild everything that we owe." "Thank you." The Bolt forced a smile on his face and turned to Naruto, "Can we go now?" "Yes, you can go now. Just remember my warning, okay?" Naruto nodded and warned the Bolt, his eyes still narrowed at the mage and his guildmates. "Okay, we will be taking our leave then, bye." After saying that, the Twilight Ogre members all bolted out of the Fairy Tail Guild Hall in fear. As Naruto watched the Twilight Ogre members bolt out of the guild hall, he let out a tired sigh from his mouth and turned back to his guildmates. He raised his eyebrow a little in confusion when he saw that everyone had their jaws hung open and were looking at him with wide eyes. "Boy, why are you all looking at me like that?" Naruto asked in confusion. What the hell was that? Oh boy. End. What if Naruto 5th Guild Master of Fairy Tail end here, and thanks for watching my video till the end.